Okay, it's 6:38. I'm going to call the meeting to order.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda that may be amended.
Second. Second, okay.
For tonight, I would like to, let's push the approval of the minutes off of the three of them, so we can get to what we're really here for. The minutes can always be.
Could you talk a little louder? I can't hear you.
The minutes to be removed till the next meeting,
Okay, thank you.
all right?
You know I got hearing aids.
Okay. Also, in talking when we're putting the agenda together, okay, review of the warrants, that's already been taken care of, so that does not need to be on the agenda as well.
Okay, so let's remove item number 3 and go from everything from 8, move up one spot.
Right.
And then 10 and 11 and 12 move up one spot.
That's good. Anybody have any other comments? Okay, all in favor of the changes?
Aye.
Aye, okay. Continue. All right. Citizens' input.
Can we just hold it to anything that's not on the agenda, since we let everyone speak?
Andrew, you have your hand up?
Yep, Andrew Gedden. I'm running for a selectman. I have one question. In October, Ken raised a question to you guys about KHP land being delinquent on taxes for over 5 years. Our selectman, Jim Half, said that he was surprised that he was delinquent. Even his wife, who was the finance director, was the person who was sending the bills out.
I got it.
So he also said on the record that he is gonna take care of his delinquent taxes by the end of November. Right, today earlier, I stopped by and I asked if the taxes were paid. And the answer was no. $33,000 is still being delinquent. And yet, our friend here, Jim Half, paid his taxes in Rutland, Vermont. On February 2nd, he purchased a piece of land, or actually he went to the meeting, and on record, I will post that on Facebook, 23 minutes 50 into it, he says that he paid his first installment, his taxes in Rutland, Vermont. So why is he paying taxes in Rutland when he's been delinquent here for over 5 years? Thank you.
Andrew, thank you. Jim, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, I've been talking to Patrick, and it's gonna get paid, and it's not $33,000, but you're talking about a business and the property that I own down in Rutland City, Andrew.
According
It's my own-
to...
But, Andrew, you asked the question, so
Okay.
please, I let you speak. And I must remind you that you're not running against me this year, okay, you're running against somebody else. So if you want to keep on picking on me, then keep on picking on me instead of the person you're running for.
Okay.
It's not going to do you any good. But there is a process in town for delinquent taxes. There's nothing wrong with it. There are many people. You, in fact, yourself, with your ex-wife, had delinquent taxes on one of your businesses, okay? So if you want to get personal, we'll get personal, but let's not do it here underneath citizens' input. And I've talked to you correctly, correct? I spoke to you the other day.
Were the taxes paid or not?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Okay.
That's what I asked.
Good. And when there's a tax sale, sorry for you, it won't be there for you to bid on.
Okay. Any other citizen requests? Okay, any online citizen requests, citizens input?
I'm going to have one as a citizen right here, right now, Bill. I'm sorry that this election has to always include me, even when I don't run, okay? I'm not running. Leave me alone. See you later.
No one online?
I think somebody has their hand up.
No, that's the...
That's
That's the mouse. Okay.
I have a question. We don't know who iPhone is and who Roger is, and there's one
There's an
person
iPhone
away.
and a Roger.
So, Roger, is that the Roger that we know?
Roger Rivera, is that you? I don't think so.
Or is that a different Roger?
Roger, you're muted, can you unmute? Oh, there you go.
Yes, I'm sorry, that is me, Roger Rivera. You know.
Oh, okay.
Thank you,
Thank
Roger,
you,
the one we know and love.
Now, the next one is iPhone. Can you please unmute yourself? iPhone going once.
iPhone, you need to identify yourself by name to participate in the meeting.
It could be me, Eli Kirchner.
Hey,
Okay, there you go, Eli,
Thanks,
very
Eli.
good. And New World Development?
That New World Development is the Summit Lodge.
That's the Summit Lodge.
Emmett.
Emmett, okay, that's Emmett, okay.
Thank you all.
Okay.
Hey, guys, how you doing?
Hey, Emmett.
Let me see, if that's, yep, it's in one.
Board of Liquor Control?
Yep, that's it. Tonight we have McDaddy Corporation, which is the Lookout, and they're renewing their first class, third class, and outside consumption.
Do I hear a motion to,
I'll make a motion for the town clerk to move forward with McDaddy, otherwise known as the Lookout Bar and Grill, for first, third, and outside.
have a second? All in favor? Aye.
Okay, that's all for tonight.
That's all for tonight, okay.
Excellent.
Okay, next one, highly anticipated, okay? Due to citizens' requests over the last few meetings, we have the listers here to give us an update on what's happening with the town-wide reappraisal. Butch, the floor is yours.
Well, before we do that, you should have a memorandum from us, a memo.
Yeah, well, we're about to.
And historically, we always round values in town to the nearest $10, and we've always done that. And the current use department in Vermont has always rounded to the nearest $10 because that's what we do. I think they do rounding to different numbers with different towns, but for us, it's to the nearest $10. They just recently did away with rounding, and that caused our 14 current use people to need new tax bills for $1 here and 33 cents there and that sort of thing. Our district advisor up at the state said that most towns are asking their selectmen just to waive doing this and dealing with those new tax bills and just agree to not do this and just keep their tax bill the same as it is, rather than trying to eke out another $1 from them and look kind of picky in the process.
So I've got a memorandum here for, the state of Vermont recently stopped rounding net values for parcels in the land use program, commonly known as current use. Historically, they have rounded the, I'm not going to read all that and whatever, the arbitrary change
Exactly what I
has
just
resulted
said.
in, yeah, boom, boom, boom. The Board of Listers believe that this is the best solution, boom. I'll make a motion to accept the listers'
It's a change of, I
recommendation.
believe the list I was given was a change of $6.
Yeah.
That's the grand total over the 14.
Yeah, and it will cost more, it will cost more in paperwork and mailing.
Change it.
So I make a motion to accept the listers. Okay.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
There was a request for name and title. Again, this is Butch. She's a chair lister, main lister, head lister, head lister.
All right. So I'm going to turn it over to Marissa because she's been dealing directly with Vision more than I have, and she has a good sense for where we are in the process.
Please introduce yourself, please. Your title.
Yep, Mrs. Sherman, I am lister number 2. We get very fancy titles. So we have, as you know, you all put in your data sheets and sent them into Vision. They had a team that entered all of that data into the CAMA program, which is basically we input data and there's a formula and boom, outcome values. So all that data's been in. Vision did send us a stack of data sheets where you maybe you didn't sign it, or there was some idiosyncrasies between what we had in the system. And so we've been verifying and cross-checking all of those to make sure that what Vision did was actually what you all had said you wanted to do, us to do. So we've been verifying their data. And then at the turn of the year, Vision finalized all that, and they sent us the values. So they are in, the first round of preliminary values was in our system, and that's what we've been going through and working on. We meet with an assessor from Vision every Thursday morning, and we're very lucky that Cindy has actually been to Killington quite a few times before Vision got the contract. She's really upset that the Outback is closed, but she's planning to coming up this summer to see everything. So when we talk to her, she knows what we're talking about when we say this, this part of town and that part of town. We're at the point now where we should be on schedule, and I will review the schedule in just a second, but we're pretty concrete on the values for all the buildings themselves, and now we are doing our review of the land values and making sure that the neighborhoods are all appropriately valued, and we work with, we do work midweek, and then we review with Cindy to make sure that as a licensed tax assessor, that she, that we're all in agreement with what's going on. So the next part that would involve the town is that preliminary values should be coming from Vision middle of March. We've got the rest of February to finish our review. And then you will get those values from Vision directly, at which time you will have an opportunity to communicate with Vision and tell them, if there was anything in the data that was incorrect, and make any final changes. So we're really trying to do a lot of give and take with them to make sure that all the data in the computer system is correct. Once you guys have had an opportunity to do that, then we will be back to our traditional schedule where you will get your final value from us. Hopefully, we're hoping the beginning of May, and then grievance will be, we'll have several weeks of grievance so that everybody has an opportunity to be heard if they so choose to be, and that will start Memorial Day weekend.
Okay, we're on track.
We are on track.
Might even be ahead of schedule.
Well, I wouldn't say that.
Push
It was last year.
That was off the record.
It was last year.
We're better than last.
But we have officially filed our paperwork with the state to be recognized that we are doing an appraisal this year. So it is happening. And, one of the things we've been, it's kind of nice thing that happened because of our delay is that our 2023, what we do for the values is we take the last 2.5 years of sales. So if we had done the reappraisal last year, it would have been 23, 24, and then the half of 25 up to April 1st. 2023 was a mess. So the fact that we're actually not using 2023 numbers and we're just using 2024, 2025, and the first half of 2026, first quarter, the numbers are actually going to be much more accurate when we've been looking at the values compared to what, we're seeing. We should have a much higher, much closer CLA, and we should be right on target because of that.
So you're under the impression that you'll have all of the data ready so that when the state produces their lovely grand list report for us to determine what the tax rate should be, okay, we will get an updated report from the state.
Yes, we are planning to have the results to you guys in time.
Which results to us?
The final ones that we sent out. So there'll be the vision, then the vision review, then we will send out
It'll
our
be
values.
our official
You'll have it
notice
to-
of appraisal.
You'll have it to the clerk's office recorded.
Yep.
Okay, so if I just summarize what you said, okay, that once the land values get, I guess, added back in with the building values and other things, that Vision is going to send out a note to taxpayers, or I shouldn't say that, to individual property owners.
Property owners, yeah.
Okay, sometime in mid-March, and that individual property owners will be directed to contact Vision directly, okay, to discuss the property data upon which the valuation was determined.
Yes, and we will be stressing that time is of the essence for those responses to Vision. You will have a limited time. The data sheets, we were much more lenient. We will just give us your data cards, that's nice, we'll just keep collecting them. But this will have a termination deadline in order for us to make the final deadline for the grand list.
I would ask that you please provide the select board with an update, so that town hall would also know when those go out, so we can make sure that voters look for them in their, however they get mail.
Yeah, we will probably put public notices at the library
That would
and the
work.
town office.
Yeah.
and-
Mountain Times.
Maybe, Mountain
Yep.
Times, that would work.
Yeah, we don't want anybody to miss
No.
the opportunity to review their numbers. Yep.
Do any of you gentlemen have questions?
So I had a couple people recently ask me about, they got a phone call from one of you, or I don't know which one, and they called back, and then they haven't nobody's gotten back to them yet.
Yeah, we're working
So-
on going, we had the stack of data cards from Vision that needed corrections was about this thick. So, it's going to take us a bit to get through all of those, and that's our project throughout the month of February. A lot of it was, the town does not require permits for outbuildings under a certain size, and so if you put on your data card that you had an outbuilding, we now have to verify the size of the outbuilding that you built. Again, it's not our job to say whether or not you should have had a permit or not. We just need to make sure that your outbuilding is part of your assessed value. So it's a lot of outbuildings, and then cathedral versus lofts is another data card fun that we're having.
And also a reminder on our hours. We are not full-time, 5 days a week. We are there Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, subject to change occasionally, but 1 to 4 o'clock. So if we don't get back because we called on a Thursday and they called us back on Friday and then we weren't back till Tuesday, that is most likely why.
Thank you.
Any else, you good?
I got a question. We can just come in on those hours you were saying, if you have some of the paperwork done to figure out what the hell's going on with our properties, correct?
We'll give you your lister card, sure.
Yeah, okay. So this way you can line up if you do want to debate it. So you should let town people know that they can come in before March to figure out what's going on with the
Well,
properties.
if everybody comes in, that's going to slow us
I
down.
don't think you're gonna get everyone coming in, Butch, but I'd like to know what's going on
But
before it happens.
I'd like
But
to
we
stress
wouldn't
that-
have the land involved, correct?
Right, we're still
You're still doing the land,
finalizing
okay.
everything,
Well,
yes.
Yeah.
we're reviewing all the numbers and finalizing them and before we give Vision the go-ahead to send out their numbers.
Right.
Okay.
So,
What I'm hearing, it's gonna be in a few weeks anyway, March.
Right.
yes.
One question from the online. Go ahead. iPhone.
Eli,
Eli,
Hi, Eli Kirshner here. I am not there, well, I'm there very often, but I often do not go to the library. Will I be notified by email or other means of what my new assessment is?
You'll get an official letter in the mail, Eli. We're still paper mailing people things.
Okay,
That's a requirement of the state.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Anyone else? Any closing comments?
Fastest way to get a hold of us is to send in an email rather than a telephone call. So,
Listers@killingtontown.com.
Correct.
And thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for giving us this update. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Enjoy.
Okay,
Right on time.
how about that? 7 o'clock, 6:58. You got 2
I'd like
minutes to kill.
make a motion to open up the continuation of the public hearing to review the zoning bylaw amendments and subdivision regulations.
Do I have a
At 7
second?
o'clock.
Second for that motion, okay. All in favor? Aye, okay. I didn't know we were going to get here, Lisa, at 7 o'clock, but we did.
Miracles happen.
I know.
Anything's possible.
It's proving it.
All right. It was all teed up, and then...
Yes. Yeah, KillingtonTown.com, that goes right to Butch.
So before we dive into it, I just want to say that a couple of things. First of all, we got an email from Devin Neary at Rutland Regional Planning Commission, letting us know that if we want the town to be eligible to apply for Tier 1A, we have to have this done in March. And I emailed him back and said, well, March is a long month, so what does that mean? And he didn't get back to me, so, but Will looked at their calendar and saw that they had a hearing on this, I think, in mid-March, so.
March 17th.
I think based on our conversations at the last meeting, we were going to try to get this done by the end of February, so I think we should be there.
I'm just letting you know.
Yeah.
The other thing is, in the event we don't get it done, I did reach out to VLCT, and they informed me that the select board, unlike the DRB, is not a quasi-judicial board, so that if there are changes of membership in the select board, and if those members did not attend the hearing, they're still eligible to vote. So that was an interesting piece of information I did not know. But the last piece of information that this is all from the staff attorney at VLCT, it's nice to get free legal advice, as she reminded me that if the select board does make substantive changes, and it's not defined, so I'm not going to get into what constitutes that, it does have to go back to the planning commission for them to adopt a new report, and then it returns to the select board, who needs to warn a new public hearing with a 14-day notice period. So just some pieces of fact. Now we get back to where we are. Will and I did put together, we decided it was difficult to kind of change the document as we're still going through it. So we put together a list of revisions based on I think the 3 hearings that we've had. We could start with that. It was sent to everyone. It was sent to everyone. Or we could pick up where we left off, and at the end, kind of go through all the changes. I'll kind of defer to whatever you want to do.
Take off where we ended.
Yeah, I think we should go
At least
through
now you have
the
a-
read of the,
Okay.
finish where we started, and then you can summarize.
Okay,
the
or,
changes.
if it's late, we could just add on to this document, and then, I think, obviously, at some point, we will prepare a new document with all the changes. So, okay, so I think we finished, we're starting on section 1140. Go back.
Oh, there we are.
So, I think most of this section we could go through quickly. There's probably only one thing that we want to get into discussion. So, 1140 is subdivision application and approval procedure requirements. Most of this is mandated, so there isn't much to discuss. The public hearing is by statute, notice public hearing is only required for major subdivisions, discusses the DRB site visit, that's the same as kind of any DRB site visit for anything that they review, final approval, it's, standard, so there's nothing to discuss. Performance bonding, I think, is probably the one that we might want to discuss, and the way we worded it, for any subdivision which requires a construction of public roads or other public improvements, the DRB or administrative officer, as the case may be, shall require that the applicant post a performance bond or comparable surety to cover the cost of construction and to ensure completion of specified improvements in accordance with the conditions of approval, and then it kind of goes into the form of bond. Now, just so we know, this already exists under site plan approval, similar language, so it's not like this is anything new. The DRB has the same right, ability to do that for site plan approval. This only relates to public improvements, so if you're, building a road that's going to be a public, that you want to be a public road, the DRB could require bonding, or if you're building public improvements, usually most subdivisions aren't building public improvements, but if they are. So I don't know if there's any discussion that wants to be.
So on the bonding, okay, you say construction of a public road, okay, which is different than doing building in a currently existing public road. So for instance, okay, if a subdivision is going to have a public road, they need to file a bond, versus if a subdivision is, say, connecting to the sewer district and they have to cut across a public road. I presume they'd have to put a bond in for that. So they have to put in a bond even though that the road that they might be building right now is not public. Is that what this is trying to tell us?
It is kind of interesting because a road doesn't become public until it's
accepted.
accepted.
Yeah,
So, I don't know how you would construct a public road, so, maybe it's construction impacting them.
So it has to meet certain standards, right?
So basically, in order for a town to take over a public road or private road, or to have one coming in, if you go to the town's website and you go into ordinances, there's a whole thing in there.
Right.
And one must put up a bond. It's already there. It says it has to happen, and it has to have, this is to take over like a new road or whatever. And then there's stuff in there that says no greater than, I think it was 8% grade or whatever. So, so that's the thing, like, there's, to me, with this document, there is repeating of what already has to happen. So, to me, the performance bonding for a road, it's there, it's underneath an ordinance. Now, cutting into a sewer line to go across a road, I think we just put in, or we approved, I think it was one of Abby's last, whatever, for going into sewer or water. Because up on Bradmead Drive, there's a house up there that had to, so there is, Will, do you remember that with there's a project up on Bradmead Drive, about 3 houses up, that hook into the sewer line, and they needed a permit to cut into the town road.
Yeah, it's a town highway excavation permit that you have to go through.
Which then can get into bonding and everything else,
Yeah.
so
Similar to
to
the
me,
process of driveway permit.
I just think that we're throwing in here something that already has to happen. That's just, so I'm willing to move on. So that's just my thoughts on that right now.
We
It's
have
there.
it, we have it for site plan as well.
You have it for site plan,
So-
whatever, but
Yeah.
there's also, there wasn't the part about cutting in for
Yeah, should be.
a sewer line or
Yeah,
whatever.
it should be worded. Yeah, we should
So,
change.
I would like to jump up to the first paragraph there, site visit. Once a hearing is held, okay, or it's said, site visit, This is a subdivision approval or whatever, but the DRB may schedule a site visit. A site visit does not require a quorum of the DRB in attendance. However, any site visit attended by a quorum of the DRB shall be warned in accordance. Once the hearing's held, and if they're going, I mean, it should be open to the public because it's...
If there's a hearing, but if they haven't warned a hearing, and there's going to be I think it should be, I mean, even if a hearing is opened, it has to be, and there's going to be a site visit, and there's more than 2 members, then it has to be noticed as a continued public hearing.
I think if a DRB is having a hearing, okay, and, that once they're having, and the hearing is open, then everything from there should be open to the public.
Nobody's saying it's not open to the public. That's not what that's saying. This is just saying that.
Well, it's saying that
it has to be
attended by a quorum, it says, however, any site visit attended by a quorum shall be warned in attendance, and I just think
we do that at
it
the
should
planning
be-
commission all the time when there's a
Right.
public hearing.
But-
And if they're doing a site visit, then, and there's going to be a majority of members.
I'm just going to throw my...
It's a continued public
I
hearing.
get it, but I want the board to listen to the first sentence or read it. The DRB may schedule a site visit. I agree with that. They may visit. A site visit does not require a quorum. No, I don't agree with that. If the DRB is scheduling a site visit, and it should be a quorum, it shouldn't be one person wants to go or 2 people want to go, and it should be a vote that they're having a site visit. That's what I'm going to leave it off at. So, take
Sometimes
that.
you schedule multiple site visits and because not everybody can make it. So I've seen situations where you have 2 people attend and you have 2 people attend a different day.
But
But
that's,
that
but
would be a
that's,
quorum then, because they're all going to be coming back.
I see what you're saying, because you don't have a quorum each day.
right, and that, but that also creates a conflict with the second sentence. With the
Correct.
next sentence, which says, any site visit attended by a quorum shall be warned in accordance.
Correct.
Well,
That's
if
what
you
I'm
don't
getting
know if you're gonna have a quorum,
Well,
then how can you
you're
warn for the
better off
quorum?
warning for it.
That's
Yeah.
all I'm getting at. This
Yeah.
DRB
Should warn for it.
may schedule a site visit.
Right. They
That's
should warn
Right.
now. It has to
Okay.
be.
And you're saying it should be warned.
Well, I'm just saying the DRB may schedule a site visit.
Right.
That's it. Doesn't get, because the rest of the stuff is gonna happen anyway. You're at a meeting, and we're gonna say,
Okay.
we're moving into a site visit. Okay? You don't have to put it up again and say, and I agree with that, you don't have to warn it in the paper that there's gonna be a site visit.
No.
Anyone that's interested
If it's already
in
an
the
open,
subdivision needs to start going
They
right
need to
away.
pay attention.
it's already an open public
Yeah.
hearing, you don't. But if they, for example, haven't opened the public hearing and say, oh, well, we want to go visit ABC property, and there's going to be a quorum, you can't do that. That's what this is saying.
But what I'm
You
getting
have
at
to
is
warn a public
why
hearing.
would someone say, how would it, if someone comes in to do a...
Somebody could come in and informally discuss a project with the DRB, okay? They
Right.
haven't submitted an application.
Right.
They want to come in and informally discuss it, and then they say, the DRB says, great, let's do a site visit. Great, let's do a site visit. All this is saying is that if you're going to have a majority, it's got to be a warned public hearing. You can't just schedule a site visit.
Right, and all I'm getting is into section 1140, it's subdivision application and approval procedures. This is not, this is in this section, okay? And it's for this is in the section of somebody having a subdivision application and approval. It's in section 1140.
Okay, if you want to move it, we can move it, but I still think it's.
I think
don't
it should be
there's-
moved, and I think that the DRB, when they ask for it in a meeting, they already have the right to ask for a site plan visit, okay? They can say they want to go see it. I think there's other things in here that talks about markers.
I have a question, though. Are you agreeing on the same point and just whether it should be explicitly said or not? Are you
Yeah,
saying that?
I'm saying that the DRB can ask for a site plan. It's already in there. It's already there.
Okay.
It's there.
That's why I just want to make sure you guys are saying.
But then when you go on to say that you don't need a quorum to go, but then to come in and say, well, there's 5 of them, right? 2 go, 1 go, at different dates, it's a quorum.
No, not a quorum.
Well, they're all gonna come back to the site plan
Second
hearing.
is like, you can come in for a meeting in my office, you two can come in for a meeting in my office, and that doesn't constitute a quorum.
And I can't come in and say, as a board member, this is a board of 5, we need to come all to agreement. And if you start sending people off the
Right,
site
you
plan
can
and
have
there's only
conversations.
two, okay? Well, if there's only 2 going out to the site visit, then the other 3 are depending on what they see. I just think it's already, if you go into, we'll come back to it. There's other things in here that says that there's markers to be put out for them to go and see.
Right.
It says it. So then why all of a sudden do we have this thrown in here?
Yeah, but I think what you're really trying to say, Jim, and correct me if I'm wrong, is if they're gonna talk about quorums, they should just say, it needs to be conducted according to Vermont
Yeah.
public, open meeting regulations, okay?
I think it just should be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Excuse me, I'm sorry.
Roger, that's
I'm
question.
this is Roger Rivera. I just want to say, as a DRB member, I don't like the fact, I agree with Jim, I don't think that we should be going on site plans individually, and also, so the wording needs to be corrected on that, I don't know how. But then lastly, also, if people want to have, if a developer wants to have an informal meeting, that's generally done with the zoning administrator, and then the zoning administrator will fill in the DRB on where this process is moving. And that's generally how the process has been working. And that's all I got to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Roger.
Let's move on. You know,
Yeah,
giving them my information on that.
next, Lisa.
Okay, well, subdivision, final plat approval, plat recording requirements, I don't, unless anyone has any comments, most of this is by statute. Plat recording, revisions to the plat, no changes, modifications, or other revisions that alter the plat or conditions attached to a approved subdivision shall be made unless the proposed revisions are first resubmitted as a new subdivision application and approved by the DRB or administrative officer as the case may be. So, it just talks about changes to subdivision, and then, so there are no comments. Now we could get into the more interesting items. Section 1150 is subdivision general standards and design regulations, and we're going to start with standards that are applicable to all subdivisions. And the first one is stormwater management. I actually do have a change on the, in the 3rd line where it says, the first sentence, the administrative officer for minor subdivisions or DRB for major subdivisions, or for minor subdivisions that have been referred to the DRB by the administrative officer. It said may require, I think we wanted to say shall require. The preparation and maintenance of stormwater management and erosion control, stormwater management and erosion prevention and sediment control plans and associated analysis to ensure that site improvements, including excavation, road, driveway construction, and site clearing and grading shall not unduly impact surface waters or neighboring properties. And then it goes on to say it must be prepared by a licensed engineer in accordance with the manual, stormwater manual, so. And then I think the last sentence that's important says, when the applicant's engineer anticipates that increased runoff incident to the development may overload the capacity of the downstream system or facility, the administrator, officer, or DRB, as the case may be, shall consult with the town public works department and may require modifications to the proposed subdivision design or conditional final approval upon improvement of the downstream facilities in the manner by the, required by the town's public works department.
So I'm looking at D, access to better manage.
We haven't gotten that far.
Okay. The storm, so I'll stick to the stormwater then. I mean, earlier on, we're just saying that you need to have a engineer showing, licensed engineer showing that you have stormwater management. And then this starts getting into a whole lot of other, the administrative officer or DRB may condition final subdivision approval and or may condition the issuance of any zoning permits to construct improvements on subdivided lots on the issuance of the state of Vermont stormwater permit. But we've already said that. You need a stormwater management plan from a licensed engineer.
Yeah, but they're saying, this may say, it may, if, you know, if they may condition upon the issuance of if a state stormwater permit is required, then.
But it's saying the administrative officer at DRB may condition final subdivision approval. So somebody comes in for a subdivision approval, and they file all their plats and everything else, and they show all this stuff, and they have a stamped engineer showing wastewater, not wastewater, but stormwater, whatever, and it's approved
By whom?
by the DRB, because they have their engineers signing off on the wastewater, not on the stormwater permit.
But if you need a stormwater permit, that's
But
a different
this is
story, so.
Right, but this is saying the administrative officer or DRB may condition final subdivision approval.
Right.
And, or may condition the issuance of any zoning permits to construct improvements on subdivided lots on the issuance. So someone comes in for a subdivision, they do everything in the beginning here, they get final approval, and now
Well, if they need.
somebody else comes in to build a house on it later on. That is
It's nothing to do with the
to
house.
construct what improvements? A zoning, or may condition the issuance of any zoning permits to construct
A
improvements.
road, you're doing a paved road, and you exceed the standard for a stormwater permit, you may need a stormwater permit.
Right, but earlier on, you need to file that you have a stormwater permit.
No, you only have to submit the plan, because you may or may not need a stormwater permit. It's two different things. One is we're saying you need a stormwater management plan and an erosion control plan, okay, and that's got to be done by a licensed engineer. That's fine. But in instances where people may need a stormwater permit because they're paving more than whatever the standard is, an acre, then it would be a condition, it would be a
You were saying the same thing.
conditional approval. No,
So
it's
it-
not the same thing, it's two different things. One is.
Instead of attacking, can we just slow down for
Yeah,
a second?
I'm not attacking.
If I'm
just-
going in for a 5-acre lot,
Right.
okay, and I'm going to take down more than 1 acre of trees and stumps and everything, okay, for my road. And in here, I'm gonna have to show my road and all that other stuff. So it already has all of my impervious area that I'm taking out. So the engineer is going to say that I need a stormwater permit, okay? And he's gonna show whatever on there as a stormwater permit, okay? So it's in writing, I need a stormwater permit, I'm doing more than an acre. Now, this is saying that they may, no, they have to. I mean, before moving forward with the road, if you're gonna disturb more than an acre of land, you need a stormwater permit, or else, from the state of Vermont, or else you're in violation of state law.
Yeah, but the DRB could approve something, and I think it's pretty standard to say, and I agree, it probably doesn't need may condition, it should be a condition of final approval that you can have your stormwater permit.
Okay.
Okay, I don't.
Right, okay. I guess where I'm coming from is that any developer that's going to be taking down more, they're gonna go to A&R, they're gonna go to the US Army Corps, they're gonna go to, their engineer's gonna tell them what they gotta do.
Yep.
This is just like, I get a lot subdivided, I get my permit for subdivision, right? And I don't do any work for 2 years. But I already got full approval because
I follow these things, 45 days, 30 days, 60 days, whatever.
Right.
And I have, and I've given in my final plat,
Right.
all right? And it's approved. And in the conditions there, it's gonna, you need to have, so, you know, if you want to keep that paragraph there, it should say, if needed, they should have. That's where I was getting the other day with this here. It's like, a lot of this stuff is already required by the state. So, Andrew, you know, if you do over an acre of land, you need a state stormwater plan.
Stormwater
Permit. You know, if you start doing any, like if you start stripping down more than an acre of land, you're gonna have to put up netting around the whole area for erosion
Yeah, but
control.
why would you want to grant final approval until somebody has?
I'm just saying that somebody could
permit?
already have, so what I'm getting at is that somebody comes in and they can actually have within a year their subdivision permit and not do any roads.
Right.
They have their approval. And in their approval, it should be saying that you need a stormwater permit if you're going to whatever. That's what it's there, it's already there. It's earlier on in the document.
All right,
We can move on.
road standards. Public roads, then we've gone into private roads, you know, layout, access, I'm not, you know, I'll defer to anyone on the select board if they have any particular comments. I don't think we need to walk through every item.
If somebody wants a permit and then they want to turn that over to a town road, there's already a set of standards they have.
There's an ordinance.
They have to.
There's an ordinance.
They have to achieve.
There's
Right,
an
and it says
ordinance.
acceptance of a private road by the town is subject to approval of the town select board, and construction of a road to these standards does not ensure acceptance. So, you know, somebody can't come in and say, but I built it to town standards, you know, because I thought it was gonna get accepted. It's not, you know, doesn't matter. I mean, follow the town's policy for road acceptance, and it has to be, you know, the select board has to accept a public road. And then private roads, it has to be built to class 3 standards. When you read the definition of the state highway definition of class 3 standards, it's basically a road that's passable by a normal vehicle, whatever that is, I don't know, but, and then I think it does mandate some minimum width, but it's not overly robust.
So all proposed roads intended to remain as private roads shall be constructed in conformance with the Vermont Agency of Transportation Class 3 road standards.
Right, and I mean, I think that's maybe something the select board, you know.
The DRB may modify these standards if the applicant can document to the satisfaction of the DRB that the road, as designed, is readily accessible to emergency response vehicles. If the road is not intended for acceptance by the town, what if the road is not intended for acceptance by the town? How is the town accepting a private road?
We're not accepting a private road.
Okay? So all proposed roads and a private roads intend to remain as private roads shall be constructed in conformance to Transportation Class 3. If the road is, then I'm just going to jump to, if the road is not intended for acceptance by the town, the mechanism which the right-of-way is to be maintained, owned, or conveyed shall be clearly documented. So, but that's not getting to a Class 3. I'm just thinking about the folks that are up in, what is that, Chattahoochee? And it's a Class 4?
Little Sherman.
Little Sherburne, okay. So if somebody up there wants to come in with a subdivision, they're going to have to put in a Class 3 road.
If they're building a new road, if it's on an existing road, no. But if they're building a new road, then it would have to be Class 3 unless the DRB waives that. And they only waive it, you know, as long as there's the evidence that emergency vehicles can access. I mean, this is something I think the town needs
I'm
to
just
discuss.
Yeah, I know, but
and-
not approve, like, boom. I'm
Right.
just getting at that if somebody has off of, what is a road up in Little Sherburne?
Road, yeah.
Little
because you're
Sherburne
driving
Road.
on class 4
And then
roads to
somebody
get to
has,
a
and up
class 3,
there,
it
up
doesn't-
there is like 100 acres, 50 acres, 60
Right, I
acres.
know, it's.
So somebody comes off of Little Sherburne Road, which is already a class 4 road.
Right.
And then they make a road that goes 800 feet.
If they're doing a subdivision,
If
it's
they're-
not if they're building a single-family home,
If
it's a
they're doing,
subdivision.
if they're doing a subdivision and they build a road, okay, for 2 or 3, for 3, because 2 is a driveway, if they build it for 3 or more houses, okay, it's a private road. So now this document is saying that they need to build that to a class 3 road. But then, and I know we gotta get, and this is what, like, it's all mixed up. Later on in the document, or somewhere in this document, it states that if the DRB decides that the traffic from that class 3 road, now that they have to put in, because it's greater than 3, is now coming down to a 4, that a property owner may have to make that whole class 4 road a class 3. It says it in here. It says that if the DRB can decide if there needs to be improvements to the existing road.
But that doesn't mean that that a class 3 road, a class 4 road gets converted to a class 3.
Well-
They address traffic and access, but they're not gonna.
But do you
require-
admit that in this document, it states that if a road that is being built, okay, that it could make that person bring the rest of the road that's already a town road, class 4, up to date? That's what it says.
I think that the select board really, because the town does have class 4 roads, I think it's appropriate to think about, do we want subdivisions, that perhaps are in, Chattagee, Little Sherburne, to require that the roads be built as class 3, or are we comfortable that they are class 4, and then I don't know how emergency vehicles, how it works with emergency
Yeah.
vehicles. Ricky might know more than
Class
I.
4 roads don't get plowed, they do by.
I'm not talking, but we're talking about emergency, like,
Yeah, but I'm gonna go to-
ambulance.
I'm gonna go to
Road,
F.
But it's not
Yeah.
maintained by the
It's not
town.
maintained, but I'm gonna go to F, capacity of existing roads. The administrative officer or DAB, as the case may be, with advice from the town public works department, road commission, or similar municipal body with relevant training and experience, shall determine whether the existing road network can accommodate the traffic expected to be generated by a proposed subdivision. In addition, in situations where development may require realignment, widening, or otherwise increasing the capacity of an existing road, or where the town plan or capital program indicated that such improvements may be required in the future, the applicant may be required to reserve land for such improvements. The applicant can be required to contribute to any or all of the expenses involved in the road. That's, I know I read it, and that's, to me, it's scaring me that that's up in that area. But now, if there's a class 3 road, let's say Roaring Brook Road is a class 3 road, and then it comes down to the Killington Road, and that's a class 2 road. So if somebody was to do a subdivision up above, somebody could come here and say, well, this class 3 here, Roaring Brook, now has to be a class 2. That's what it's saying.
No, not really, but okay.
Well, not really, but if you take it,
Doesn't really say-
Roger, how do you read that? I don't know if he's there.
So, I mean, let's.
I'm here. I'm here.
You know, I mean, since you're on the
That's the way
DRB,
That's the way I interpret that, and honestly, I mean, as a DRB member, we're just lay people. who are
No, but the
volunteering.
DRB does have the capacity
I'm
to.
not the person who should be deciding what the class of road should be.
Well,
I
the
have
D-
no qualifications in that area.
That's correct,
So-
and that's why we did put in our zoning bylaw that the town, the DRB, has the ability to hire outside professional engineers. So that is in there. We don't expect a DRB to necessarily have expertise in traffic, but they do have the ability to retain an
Yeah,
outside
and I'm gonna go on the
consultant.
last part, where, and the same in F, where a subdivision requires undue expenditures by the town to improve existing town roads or to upgrade stormwater management facilities, the administrative officer or DRB, as the case may be, may disapprove such subdivision unless the select board certifies that funds for the improvement are available for such purposes. So, I mean, they're getting a stormwater management plan for their property to make sure that they're containing any flow off of theirs. But with this paragraph, it can specifically now say that somebody says, oh, I think it's going to affect a quarter mile down the road, and you're liable for it. But yet they've got a stormwater permit already. I just like, I think we wrote a lot here, and that's, I mean, it just, I don't know.
So let's go back to the class 3, class 4. I mean, what's the thoughts? I mean, do we feel that,
I think
subdivision should have class 3, or do you say, well, there's certain parts of town where a subdivision road could have class 4? I don't know how fire trucks or ambulances access the lot, but,
There are many subdivisions that are in place right now, okay, that their roads are not built to class 3. And fire trucks are getting to them.
but, I mean, this gives the DRB the right, to waive it if they can provide evidence that the fire trucks,
That's where
I
my
don't know,
argument
I
is.
mean, I don't know, if you don't want private roads built to a class 3 standard,
I don't think Jim is saying he doesn't want private roads to be built to a class 3 standard, but you're potentially setting up a conflict here by the way this is worded. Okay, so for instance, if I'm on a class 4 road and I own a piece of property and I want to build a subdivision, and now that entrance to that subdivision has to be a class 3 road, that's not at face value unreasonable,
Right.
okay? But if I choose, okay, that it's okay for people who are going to my subdivision to drive on a class 4 road, okay, and, economically, it's not gonna hurt my prospects for that subdivision that I just built. I mean, are we saying the town can come in and basically say, no, you gotta rebuild that whole road to be class 3?
no, the road, it's the subdivision road that would be, the new road would be class 3.
No, I think it says capacity of
And
existing roads.
We're talking about the private road section.
Yeah, but it
Yeah.
says in the private, and it says, but listen, I just want to tell you, so I'm going to give you an instance. A family member up in Heinsberg, Vermont, at the end of a town road that was built to, back in the day, that was only like 16 feet wide, went for his subdivision of 50 acres. Now, this road was a half a mile to where his subdivision was. And it was worded exactly like this. And it took him a year and a half to go because they wanted him to widen the road to the town specs. Because when you get to a class 3 road, the town specs for a class 3 road is what width?
It's the highway specs, we don't have town specs for.
Okay, so what class 3,
It's not very wide, I don't know what it is.
I think it's 40 feet. like-
No, it's not, for class 3, no.
You have to have 2 cars pass.
You have to have 2
No,
cars
it's-
go by.
No,
so-
you don't, I live on a class 3 road, it's not
Yeah.
40 feet, it's like 24 feet or 22
Okay,
feet.
so 24. So on this one here, the road was already 15. And it took like a year and a half because they already did everything.
On highway class 4.
And there was no room because
they couldn't get it, and it took them a year and a half to get a permit to say that that road did not have to be expanded. But they wanted to get it, certain people on a DRB wanted it to get expanded to 24 feet. So this is where I'm coming from, that when things are written, that we could be sitting here today having this conversation. Now, think about it when it's disappeared for 6 months, and it's in front of 5 other people, and then a whole room full of public saying, no, I want this road, I want it improved, I want this. Go ahead, what's a class 3 road specs?
It's a minimum of 14 feet.
Minimum of 14 feet.
It's not 40 feet.
Okay.
It's not even 25 feet,
So-
it's 14 feet.
So then that kind of goes against, because I think we have our road things here that says they gotta be 22
But
feet.
this is a private road.
Yeah, but it has to have access by a fire truck or whatever, and the fire department's gonna come in and say it needs to be 22 feet.
I don't know if they will. I mean, I'm on a private road that's not 22 feet.
Yeah, but
On the
your
fire truck,
private
right?
road was done how long ago?
Yeah,
And
wow.
you're trying to improve that doesn't happen
Totally
again.
agree,
Because
but-
you
You
don't,
worded in the grandfather in on the existing roads, that
Well,
are
existing roads are grandfathered in.
I don't know if they are in this zoning.
100% are. Come on, this is for subdivisions. It's nothing to do with existing roads.
No, because you have another place in this document that says that existing subdivisions, okay, if they're not started to be built within, or not get a renewal in 2 or 3 years, they would have to come all the way back, even though it was existing, to be a subdivision and go through this whole process. It's somewhere in there.
Yeah, and Lisa, I would say the way this is written, if you have an existing subdivision, and then all of a sudden a parcel adjacent to that existing subdivision gets created as a new subdivision, this capacity of existing road clause comes into effect if the traffic is going to be routed through the existing subdivision. I mean, it's basically what it says.
So once a subdivision is recorded, then it's a subdivision, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not, you know,
I mean, I gotta go through it again, I mean, if you give me a little bit, but it does say that if an existing subdivision is not started or whatever within a certain amount of time or renewed, then it needs to be start all over again.
Yeah, that's just the permit expired.
Well, but the subdivision
That's kind of
permits don't
standard.
require,
Well, yeah.
they don't expire.
no, they don't expire. Once they're recorded, they don't subdivide. I think you're,
Right, then it wouldn't be retroactive. Yeah.
I think what you're talking about, Jim, is this minor subdivision, if it's a subdivision of the land that was not.
What page are we on?
That was not part of a, that was not part of a subdivision within the previous 3 years. That's, I think, what you're referring to, okay?
What, is it in the middle, in the end, minor?
It's right here, 99.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. I don't know. It's written in.
Yeah, so, okay. Minor subdivision shall include any subdivision of land, A, resulting in the creation of 2, 3, or 4 lots, from a lot that was not part of subdivision within the previous 3 years, or B, which does not qualify as a major subdivision. So it's telling me that if I have an existing 4-lot subdivision and was not part of a subdivision within the previous 3 years, so past 3 years, okay, I'm probably gonna come back in again.
If you further subdivide, that's what it's talking about.
There's another piece in here that says that you have to come back.
So I think this is actually where you're talking about,
Which page?
yeah, well, actually 105, if any subdivision previously
Yeah, I thought it was in the
approved
100s.
by the DRB is modified, or if an applicant fails to materially commence construction of a project approved through this article within 2 years of the date on which the subdivision approval was granted, then the entire subject shall be subject to a complete re-review in full accordance with this article.
Right.
So I think that's.
So
that actually should be.
Yeah, because
that
what
should
I'm getting at is that once this is adopted, 2 years pass by, somebody has a subdivision that they did 10 years ago, have not started it yet. Okay.
Through this article.
What?
The language in
No,
this
no,
is
she
approved
said,
through this
she says,
article.
Yeah, it's approved through this article.
That would have been approved through a prior article.
okay,
Yeah. But
well,
I would think that.
but
we
even
should probably-
still, it shouldn't, once it's done, it's done.
Well,
A subdivision.
Yeah, once it's done, it's recorded.
yeah.
Well, what she's saying
But
there.
this is saying if they haven't
Oh, this is-
started.
So if they haven't
The
started,
new one.
so, let's just take Mountainside Properties. They came in for a subdivision,
Well,
and then they
not
get
really.
tied up, and they spend all this money, and they go through all of this, and then they gotta go to Act 250, and they get tied up for 3, 4, 5, 6, some cases 12 years, we've seen. Now they get their Act 250 permit, but you know what? They didn't commence within 2 years. It should, once you
Well,
have a
this gives-
subdivision, you have a sub,
This is a total of 5 years when you read this.
okay.
You know,
But why are we, why if somebody has already shown that they have their roads approved, their wastewater approved, their stormwater approved, their roads approved, everything approved, why are we putting a limit of 5 years on it that,
I
you
could
know?
talk to council about that. I don't know if there's any statutory requirements for expiration, so I would defer to him on this.
I can tell you that looking through like a whole bunch of other subdivisions, there's no such thing as.
Is it meant to be a catch, or like if regulations change and?
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I mean, 10 years from now, the standards may be incredibly different,
Right.
and you probably don't want something to say, oh, well, I'm gonna build it.
I gotta stop there, because what we're saying today is if somebody that got a subdivision 10 years ago, that these new rules are not gonna affect that. So if somebody does now, then 10 years from now, it's not gonna affect that
Well,
one.
we're saying, it's not, I mean, if you
I got-
built a
you have a
road,
chair,
it's
you
not
have somebody
gonna,
raising
it's
their
not
hand.
gonna
What do you
change
do?
the road.
Sorry.
Vito?
So, just a question, I know a lot of these rules are based upon state rules. In this case, what do the state rules say, or do they say nothing? As far as the expiration of the.
They're-
Well, that's why I suggested that I talk to town council.
But is there not a limit on the state rules?
I think it's best to find out from our lawyer, because I don't know off the top of my head, and I'm not gonna give an answer that I don't know.
It seems like part of this was that the Act 250 environment could be changing, and this almost looks like an Act 250, if you don't do something by a certain time, that you gotta go renew it, da-da-da-da-da. Okay, now the timing is, of course, different, but that's kind of how it reads. And is that what we want the town to
So,
do?
I mean, something could, if somebody hasn't done anything in 10 years.
Then maybe
then
it should be moved.
Something happened
Right.
above it or below it.
Right.
Which changes that project.
Which changes the project, right, right.
No, because if I get a subdivision approval, I have it. And now, if you decide to subdivide the 50 acres next to me, they already know that I have a subdivision, and they have to take yours into account of mine, because in here it talks about stormwater approaching, you have to get a stormwater permit or an engineer showing, and when the engineer sees, they're gonna see that there is an existing subdivision permit. So when they do their engineering, there's already a road, there's already easements, there's already There's all of this here, and it shows how many, so that engineer is going to need to take into effect, just like now, if you understand wastewater systems and wells, once a wastewater system and a well is approved, okay, the engineer has to find the abutting within 500 feet or whatever of systems. And there are some lots that are failed lots because there's no place to put the septic because the well is too close.
So let me talk to Jeremy about the expiration. I think that's a valid point. But
Yeah.
let's go back to the class 3, class 4 discussion, and I don't know what the.
I don't think it's fair to tell people that if they, like you were saying, Bill, if they're up in Little Sherburne or wherever, that, you know, they want to subdivide a parcel into 10 lots, and they get septic approved in those 10 lots and a well, you know, that they can't sell it letting the buyer know that it's a class 4 road, not, it's like we're gonna take away class 4 right out of our zoning for future.
Yep.
Yeah, people would certainly think that if they were just, didn't
No,
know.
she said yes.
Yes, I know.
I mean,
yeah.
I think it's a policy decision. I'm not, you know,
Yeah.
how do we feel about class, you know, I mean, obviously this gives the DRB the right to approve something as a class 4 road. So it's not really saying it can't happen.
To
It's
me,
just
yeah, just
saying that the administrative officer.
What?
Are there a lot of class 4?
I can't believe
Yeah, there's
anybody
a bunch of
building a
class 4.
subdivision will make a road less than 14 foot wide anyway. but-
I know,
Right.
I know. It's kind of an absurd
guess.
discussion.
Elbow Road, Doubleday Hill, believe it or not, there's even off from George Street, a little short.
And off of River Road, is it
River
Steinway?
Road? No, that is not.
Which one is?
Wolf Hill is.
Wolf Hill, okay, yeah. Wolf Hill is a 4.
I thought the town plows were
Nope.
Part of it.
part of it.
That sounds like 14.
Post Road is the other one. There's
Post Road is the
partial
other
as
one.
well.
You know,
It's under 14 feet wide, Wolf Hill.
well, that's not
No,
that's not
Post
the
Road
real.
definitely is under, well, I don't know, maybe not. It's
There are some class 4 roads that are greater than 14 feet.
Yeah.
It's,
The definition is that it's passable by
So it's a minimum, yeah,
Passable by like a
14
regular
is another
motorized
right.
a regular motorized
but,
vehicle.
but our
I'm
town.
asking a question.
Yeah, no, it's 14, but our town fire department, for any subdivisions that are coming in right now, are asking for roads to have at least 20 feet and then 2 feet on each side so that they can get through. So any new stuff that the fire department is going to is saying 20 feet.
Yeah, they're probably not going to allow, they're probably not going to sign off on a class.
Then also be that wide?
Well, you can't go back and do that.
Well, no, but in this thing you can.
This is saying you could.
You can.
This is saying you could.
But it's saying if that.
And it's saying you could throw it onto the,
Right, if they're saying that you know, to get a subdivision, you require fire truck to get to it, then they would need that part.
no, that's in that subdivision. So now you're gonna put it, this goes back to the other paragraph, so now you're gonna tell a person, we're supposed to be like trying to encourage growth because we don't like our property taxes being high. And if we don't have growth and allow new housing to be built, we're just gonna get taxed and taxed and taxed and taxed. So now, if you're up, you're gonna say, well, no, you're gonna widen that 14-foot road to 20 feet. I mean, I don't know, like, what's the length of Lower Rebecca and Upper Rebecca?
Nobody's saying you're
Lower
going to
Rebecca
widen.
is more narrow, but Upper Rebecca, we're at, what, 25 feet, 20 feet?
Because you did it to what, the fire department, and, no? You did it on your own?
No, the road, over time, the association has made a concerted effort to cut trees and
Okay.
widen the road base. So,
Right.
on Upper Rebecca.
Upper Rebecca.
So nothing says a road has to be 20 feet. Obviously, it's part of a subdivision approval. You want the fire department to sign off on it and say that they could get a fire truck and they could get ambulance. I don't think anybody wants to approve the subdivision that can't be serviced by fire and ambulance, okay? So, but we're not mandating 20 feet. we're saying that a private road should be built to a Class 3 standard, which is 14 feet, can be passable by a normal vehicle, and if somebody doesn't want to do that, then it gets referred to the DRB, whether it's a major or minor subdivision.
So we
The
just-
DRB can make that
In
determination.
a Class 3 road, is there any
So we just need something that says before a certain date.
subs?
You can't make people change.
Yeah, but I just heard a conflict there, okay, because
I'd have
if,
to look back and
if the
look
fire
what you said.
department is not gonna approve a subdivision, if they don't have a road that's at least 20 feet with 2 feet on either side, but a Class 3 road can be 14 feet wide, we have a conflict right off the bat in the new regulations.
But who's saying the fire department can only approve a road that's 20 feet?
I am,
You can't go.
because I've been sitting in with them on subdivisions, and
You can't
that's
go
what they're
back and
saying.
make
I mean,
anybody-
they are.
No, you can't go back, but I'm just saying, it's just, we have a,
Well, you said,
yeah,
there's a,
yeah.
you
can.
need a date.
You can go back on this.
Yeah,
I'm saying
because it says
you
existing
need
roads can be modified.
You need a date that says before this date, an existing road is just that, an existing road.
What is the full specs of a Class 3? The full specs?
14 feet in width, needs to be passable by a regular motorized vehicle, so like a typical suburban sedan, something like that. I don't believe that there's a certain substrate that has to be used, but I can check back on that. But essentially, it has to deal with the width of the road, and it needs to be, their standard for Class 3 and 4 are quite, vague, but it's essentially something that's passable by something along the lines of like your typical suburban.
But earlier on in our document that we have to approve, it says that you need to have sign-off from the local fire department.
Right, well, I think that's.
So a local fire department truck is going to want more than a 14-foot road, 14-foot wide road, because they're not going to be able to pass a car, and maybe 14 feet is not enough for them either. Because they're gonna, I'm telling you, I've sat through a couple subdivisions, even like 8 or 9, and the fire department gets in, and they want to be able to get around all of the buildings. They want to be able to put their arms out to stabilize themselves or
Well,
whatever.
that's a different discussion. I mean, do you want to eliminate fire department sign-off in your subdivisions? I don't think so.
No, I think that the conversation here is that this document, where I was believing, was saying that we were no longer going to take on any Class 4 roads in a subdivision. I don't believe that's our right. I think if somebody wants to come in off of a route, or off of a Class 4, or off of a Class 3, or off of a Class 2, and make a Class 4 off of that, they should be able to.
Okay, but you were just going on about the
If it's
fire
private.
department mandating 20 feet, so we're kind of all over the map on this. So let's try to focus on what we're focusing. It doesn't.
Okay,
do
I
we
don't like
want
the
it?
idea that it's just Class 3 roads. I'll zoom in, I'll
Okay.
zoom in.
That's perfect.
Because I did say that earlier on, and you were arguing with me and kept on going. So I'm just gonna show you, this is the Rutland, this is the city of Rutland land development regulations, okay? For subdivision, it's a total of 20 pages with descriptions of areas and everything. This thing here is a total of 72 pages. It's got zoning, architectural design guidelines, subdivision, flood hazard areas, and river corridors. We're at 105 pages, and we don't even have flood hazard areas in here. And this is not your whole document, because there was people before you. And some of the stuff in here for subdivision, it's just like basic. I showed you earlier, and the way the format is laid out. I mean, and it even has the neighborhoods and everything, and it's just like, it comes in here, general way of required frontage or access, home occupations, it's just, I have an issue, and it's not because you're putting, and it's not you're putting something new in, but there's stuff there before you, and it starts talking about this stuff, and then I get people coming in as a zoning administrator, and they're like, well, I have to say, no, you have to do this, you have to do that, you have to do this, you have to, it's like we're going all over the place with this. I almost think like it would be better just doing a complete
subdivision, another whole land, starting from scratch, because you're gonna be coming in soon for a storm, for a river and floods, right?
Potentially.
Potentially. And how many, so we'll be about 150
The
pages.
town wants to rewrite the zoning bylaw, they're gonna have to hire a consultant to rewrite the zoning bylaws. Rather massive, I agree, it would be a nice thing to have, but it's a pretty massive undertaking. We had gotten a little grant, and we had Rutland Regional help us make some changes to the bylaw, but I didn't find it was overly productive. But it's a pretty large undertaking. I don't think it's anything that Will and I have the bandwidth to do right now, but, if your town wants to seek a grant and rewrite the zoning bylaw, that's a good future project.
I just hate to approve something that's, well, Bill, you've looked at some things that's like contradicting.
My concern is that it seems like you are trying to put in new regulations, so, you're.
It's good.
You're trying to do your job, and I appreciate that, but it just seems like we've set up some conflicts, and I don't know that we meant to do that. Okay, so if the fire department has to sign off on something, okay, the fire department has to sign off on something, but if we know they won't sign off on something unless there's a certain requirement for it, but you've now spec'd a lower requirement, okay, it seems like that we've created conflicts that, again, will have to get resolved either by the DRB or the developer or whatever. Do we want?
I did consult one of our prior fire chiefs when I wrote this, but, we've had some
No, there's been a lot of changes.
turnover, and we talked about it,
Yeah.
and, he indicated, we discussed it, and he thought a class 3 was appropriate. It's not easy for them to get a fire truck, it's not maybe ideal, but they can manage it. So, we could have a discussion with the fire chief. I'm happy to talk to him. I've never heard, Jim meets with him more than I do, so I can't say that he's going to say, oh, it must be at 20 feet with, 2-foot shoulders. There's the ideal, and then there's like the minimum that's acceptable.
Yeah,
so I think the question is, what's acceptable to him? Is it class 3? Is it class 4?
Well, no, but the problem is, if I'm a developer, I look at it from the standpoint, okay, you're making me go to the DRB, which is an appropriate thing, but as part of the permit process, I gotta go to the fire department. So the fire department could tell me one thing, but the DRB can tell me another thing. So who's on first?
Well, the DRB, I think, appropriately takes advice from the fire department, but they don't have to, they're not required to, but.
That's what I said, who's on first? Yeah.
No, but some of this says that you need approval from the fire department. Some of this, it says you need approval, but now you're saying the DRB can overrule them, but it says they need it. This is Rutland City for fire protection. Section 6035, the layout of the subdivision shall be reviewed by the fire chief or his designee to ensure that adequate fire protection can be provided. This review shall include, but not limited to, minimum distance between structures, street width, vehicle access for 2 directions where possible, looping of water lines, water flow and pressure, and number and location of hydrants, because they have water down there.
I don't think looking at the Rutland City subdivisions is that relevant for Killington. When we looked at this, we looked at Mendon, we looked at Castleton, we looked at a whole bunch of communities. I'm not sure a city is really, you're comparing apples to apples.
Well, what I'm getting at is that a city is much bigger than us, and for fire protection, they have 7 sentences, and we have pages.
We don't have pages.
There's a lot of stuff in here that says go to the fire department. I'm just gonna,
Can't you just copy what you have right there, instead of going through this nonsense, if that's a good draft right there?
Well, we did. We copied many communities, and we actually took a lot of towns.
Well, Rutland Town, Rutland Town that has many commercial businesses, I don't know if Diamond Run Mall is still up, I think they were ripping it down. But just so you know, they consider a minor up to 10.
Right, and just so you know, they still get DRB approval,
Okay,
Jim,
well,
okay?
okay.
Right, we looked
Yeah,
into that
yeah.
pretty carefully,
Yeah, well,
all
well, it
right?
says 10, so that you can still get DRB. I'm not
Right,
against the
but-
DRB, but I'm
but
just
it's-
saying that
but
a
it's-
major is over 10.
Right, but the difference in Rutland Town between a major and minor, which I discussed at the last meeting, and we had that Excel spreadsheet, which I'm happy to show again, was whether it was a two-tiered process or a three-tiered process, and we only have a one-tiered process.
And most of those other towns were written up many years ago.
Right, but you
This
just
is
talked
written
about
for- this-
Rutland, you just talked about Rutland Town.
But I
I'm just
talked,
telling you.
but I wasn't bringing that up until I brought up a city. A city has 72 pages that include zoning, agricultural design guidelines, subdivision, flood hazard areas, and river corridors. 72 pages. And I've said, it's not, you didn't write this whole thing, but it's just, it's complicated of moving all over the place in this thing here. You know, so this all started out as, is that I said, I believe we should allow Class 4 roads.
It's fine, I'm not.
But then you were arguing and you were saying 3, and then I brought up the fact that someone might have to update a road further down to get to theirs, and you said that's not what it says. And then Bill started
It does
looking,
say that's
and
right.
it says it.
But right now, we're still on a private road. We can discuss that when we get there. You know, if you guys want to eliminate this and you don't care whether it's a class.
No, it doesn't say not care. No, that's your little like, not care.
No.
We care.
I care too. I think it should be a class 3
But every
road.
time I throw something up, you argue against, and then you'll tell me you're a professional.
I think that the thing, that please, both of you stop. Stop. What I'm looking for out of this document is a clear set of instructions, okay? And I do find myself flipping back and forth, page back and forth, page back and forth. I find contradictory clauses.
Now be the person that's
Okay.
applying.
Well, yeah, right, and being the person that's applying, I find contradictory clauses. I find, well, we gotta talk to this person over here. Oh, but by the way, we've gotta talk to this person over here, and that person over there, although they're not on an official approval cycle, they have to approve it, so this person approves it. It's going back and forth. I don't think you meant that to happen.
No.
Okay, but it does, you know, we've gone through this now on a couple of different items, okay? And it's very hard to interpret this.
I don't see anything confusing about this section on private roads. And if,
We're not talking about private roads, Lisa, okay? We're talking about how the document is put together, okay? The private road is one thing, okay? But then you get into a situation where, okay, wait a minute, if someone's putting in a subdivision and they might have to do changes to existing roads. It's in the document. Whether or not you meant to put it in the document, it's in the document, okay? And then, so there's just confusion here about how it all fits together, and are we giving clear instructions, okay, to people who want to develop property in Killington, which is what this document is supposed to do.
Well, yeah, that's number 5, F, capacity of existing roads. I mean, if you guys want to take that out, I mean, it's fine, I mean, that's what we're discussing, but I don't think it's confusing, Bill. I think that if you read the document, it flows pretty well. Is it perfect? No. I mean, will I think over time it need, Vince has raised his hand.
Yeah, Vince is raising his hand.
Over time, will it need some modifications? Most likely, because all of these documents become a work in progress. If a zoning administrator, they have to enforce it, they find inconsistencies.
And they have to fix it.
Inevitably, that happens.
No, stop. The zoning administrator cannot fix it.
Well, no,
They recommend the planning
They recommended the planning
Right.
commission, yeah,
And that's one of the,
there's a process.
That's one of the jobs of
Yeah.
the zoning
There's
administrator.
a process that they follow.
And I'm sitting here and I'm making suggestions where I'm getting beat up.
No, I'm not
I am.
beating you up, I'm
Yeah.
just trying to understand.
And I just want to point too, that it's like, for some, if a mistake is found, we're better off finding the mistake now while we're
Totally.
doing this,
Okay.
because it could take another 2 years, like this one is taking.
Right,
Totally
okay.
agree, I don't disagree
So
with you.
Vince, you have a question, you have your hand up.
This is with the planning commission.
This is Vince Nguyen with the Planning Commission. I guess, this is I want to first say this is all good feedback. I wish that we had had some of it, some of this input, while we on the Planning Commission were in the process of drafting this document. I also think that it's important that we keep the timeline in mind. I mean, Lisa outlined at the beginning of the hearing, or the beginning of this session of the hearing, some of the time deadlines that we're up against and the warning deadlines if we want to apply for our Tier 1A, 1B exemption under Act 181. So I think we've got to be careful not to let perfect become the enemy of good in this case, so that we can meet those deadlines. And that's the point I wanted to make. That's it.
Yeah, Vince, I agree with you. We can't let perfect be the enemy of the good. I totally agree with you on that.
But we also can't make a designation of a 1A, which we really realize we're probably not going to get. We don't have. So don't use that as an excuse of we need to get this thing done tonight or next week because we're going to become a 1A. The state is not going to allow us to be a 1A. They're not.
I mean, the question I would ask, okay, is if you recognize that this whole process, as outlined by this document, is a continuing evolution over the years, okay? Are we better off with this document now, knowing that it's gonna be a continuing process to evolve it, and we're gonna have to do this again, okay? Are we better off staying with the existing regulations, which I don't think we can stay with, okay? So, yeah, so in terms of moving the process forward, which is the best route for us to take? Or do we just stop this process and go back and try to make major overhauls to it? Okay, and Vince, I recognize timing is of the essence, and that's what I'm saying. What's the best procedure for the town to take? Okay, in terms of, because you guys are the experts on how this is actually implemented. Are we?
No.
Well,
they're the experts of writing up a long document.
Okay. Whatever.
That a zoning administrator has to implement.
Okay.
I can give you context for the water, similar to the water. The water was passed when there was the three of us, and we were told, this isn't complete, it's not perfect, we need to come back. We haven't heard back yet, or you haven't heard back, so I'm not right now. But that one was one that was passed with the knowing that it is going to come back.
Come back again. Come back again.
But it was something that needed to be in place so that the water system could.
You're not comparing apples to apples.
Comparing ordinance.
No, this is not an ordinance.
Or regulation.
This is a zoning. This takes years, as it's already proven, to get here. And if it was an ordinance, and an ordinance could be changed like that, okay? The water is a department, okay, that has board members that can change things. They don't need to go through all of this. So that could be a document working on. When did you start on this, Will, for subdivision regulations?
We had the first planning commission public hearing on March 10th, I believe, last year. Was our first planning commission public hearing?
No.
I think it was 24. It was 24.
It's been a very long process.
Yeah.
And I mean, if the select board feels that they're not comfortable with this document and they want to return it to the planning commission to start over, then that's certainly within the purview of the select board.
And then to clarify one other thing here, the town does not have subdivision regulations at this time. But underneath Act 250, a town that does not have subdivision regulations, you're allowed to do up to 6 lots, okay? After that, you have to then go to Act 250. When I took the job as interim zoning administrator, I was told that, and I said this many times, that we did, not by this group here, in the book, it referenced subdivision regulations, and there were more than 6 given out during, because people thought prior to 10, 15 years ago that we had subdivision regulations. I brought it up to go to the planning commission to get subdivision regulations. And the intent from the board back then was to get it so it would be like, you need to come in with stormwater management plan, you need to come in with your erosion, you need to come in with, and get this stuff on a thing. Not something that's going to make like people, like you're saying, going against each other's.
Yeah, and that's.
And then they may not intend to go against each other. It's like Lisa and I aren't intending to go against.
No, you're not, no, I don't think you are.
But we're getting into
but you
a
happen to be.
heated conversation.
Right, because you have a disagreement about how something would be implemented.
This is a
Right.
10-page document,
Right.
which
Yeah.
for subdivision regs is pretty skinny.
Yeah.
You know, happy to show you Mendon's, happy to show you
Yeah.
Castleton's, happy to show you Stowe's. I mean, you know, it's a pretty skinny down document, you know, so, but I think whatever you guys want to do, if you want to send it back to the plan commission
Well,
and restart it.
Patrick just
somebody else,
made a
that's
comment to me, and I'd like to improve on that. And I'd like to improve on one of yours. You said the select board needs to be comfortable. The select board doesn't necessarily need to be comfortable. We can accept things that are going to be under continuous improvement. Okay, we can accept that. The question is, once you implement this, okay, is the risk to the town lower than the risk we currently have? Okay, so are we making the town overall a stronger community with less risk by doing things this way? Okay, then what we are doing right now, okay?
Well, right
And-
now,
and
we're doing this.
We, as planners, Will and I, and the
Right.
planning commission certainly believe that this is for the best. I'm not doing it for my own self-interest.
Obviously.
Obviously, and I don't,
Yeah.
you know,
Right.
but, you know, I think it's for the interest of the town.
Yeah, and if we can accept that we're gonna do it for less risk, we can also accept that, you know, we're gonna go back over time and improve it, okay?
I'm gonna stop you here.
I think it's a balancing
I gotta
act. I've
stop
said
you.
this
Go
from,
ahead.
I said it.
Go ahead, no, you're allowed.
I said it from the start.
Okay.
I think it's a balancing act between balancing, protecting the resources and protecting the town, but also not being a burden to people that want to do development in this town. And we've tried hard to be fair and balanced. You
But
know,
I
is it
think we've
perfect?
pointed out a
No.
bunch of places where it's not fair.
And I think, you know, you guys have pointed out and made some good changes, so I'm not, you know,
Yeah.
we're trying to
Hold on one second.
do the best job we can for the town. We're not trying, you know, we have
So-
no.
Hold a second, Vito, Jim wanted to make a comment.
Yeah, I'm gonna say something here. So, when was the first hearing for the select board? When was this presented for the first hearing of the select board?
We did that overview meeting first in.
No, when was it warned, the original warning for this? So whatever,
September.
So as of September, just to be clear here,
October 20th?
October 20th, okay. I have not had any subdivisions come in, but the minute, and you know this, the minute that this was brought to the select board, if somebody comes in for a subdivision now, I have to follow these rules. So, coming back to the point of, we need to sign off on this now, I have to follow these rules now, and I have to make sense of all this confusion.
Until the select board
Adopts.
or rejects. If
Or
they
reject.
then it
And I
goes
don't
back
think
to the-
this board is saying reject.
No, I don't.
I think what this board is saying is we need to get it written correctly. So instead of rushing for a signature on this, I have to enforce these rules as of October 20th. No matter what, until it's rejected or accepted.
Right, people have to.
So why are we going to rush when there are some things here that we can rewrite or whatever? But for now, I have to follow them as is, or as you update them, I guess. And so if it takes another meeting or two to go through it, then we're working through it. So let's not use, we have to sign this tonight or next week or the next week. Because no matter what, folks, as the zoning administrator, I'm enforcing the rules that are in front of us now since October 20th.
Well, there are statute requirements that say we have to approve it by X, Y, Z date, and it sounds like
No, there's not statute things, there's saying if we're gonna go to,
150 days, I think, is from when it,
well, we've already blown past that, it's,
yeah.
we've
Well,
already
no,
blown past
but
it.
I think as long as you have the open hearing, the date.
The open hearing was about 180 days, so let's not, we had the open hearing start past the 150 days.
What is it?
But excuse me,
what
I
is
don't
that?
think you can keep the hearing open if you send it back to the planning commission for a major revision. I think
No,
that's
no,
part of the
if
process.
it gets sent back to the planning commission for a major revision, or any significant revision, right, and nobody defines significant, so that would really be up to us, or the select board, to
Well, then
define
take our
what's significant.
suggestions here.
Then it goes to the planning then it would go back to the planning commission, for, not necessarily for a hearing, but for a new report adoption, then it returns to the select board. Now, I don't believe that any of the changes that have been made to date falls to the level of significant. Obviously, we still have the minor, major open, and that could maybe be significant, but I don't think any of the changes really fall in that significant, so.
Okay, so answer me this. Let's say hypothetically, we approve this document, okay, but we know that there are areas in it that we're concerned about. So we give you a directive to say, okay, work on these concerns. Okay, to do an addendum to this document, what's the process?
Same
Is it just
process.
doing a brand-new document all over again?
Well, it's a bylaw amendment, it's same exact process.
Same exact process,
Yeah.
okay. So you have to go through the public hearing for the bylaw amendments and the whole bit.
Yeah, you start with the planning commission,
Okay.
We've kind of done quite a few bylaw amendments since I've been here. It's almost like the minute we close out, we start another.
You start another one.
For example,
Yeah.
Jim raised the question of of failed lots and people wanting to put up, live-in campers, basically, which we know, and that's defined as a primitive camp by state. And one of the things the planning commission has said, what, do we want those allowed in R1 or R3? And at the last meeting, the planning commission said, that we probably only want them in the forest reserve zoning district. So that's a change that we're going to make the next go-around. So we keep a list, so it's kind of like we go through the process and then we almost started the cycle again.
I have a running list of changes that
Yeah, I'm
only
sure you
gets
do.
bigger, but.
I'm sure you
Yeah,
do.
because a zoning administrator comes
Hold on.
in
Yeah.
and says, there's something's not well-written, or something's confusing, or there's a conflict, or whatever, and then, you put a list together, and then the planning commission goes, and we go through the process again.
Vito had your hand up first.
Okay, so it's been a while since I raised my hand, and the first part of my question got pretty much answered by Jim. And that was, what are we working under now? And I guess we're working under this draft, subdivision draft, if we have to deal with some.
As it was written.
Right?
As it was warned.
As it was
Okay.
warned, without any changes right
Okay,
now.
okay, so, I also heard earlier about certain deadlines, and I'm just wondering how critical those deadlines are in terms of finishing this process or making this legal or any of that. And then, just maybe a suggestion. When I've been in situations such as this, where we have to review documents, legal documents like this, whether they be contracts, leases, even on the planning commission, when we redid the town plan, basically what we did is we passed out copies to all the commission members, and in other venues, we passed it out amongst the whole office. Everybody got a copy of a lease agreement. 20 or more people. They all reread it. Sometimes the contribution would be as minor as an address change. Or it could be one of these things that you guys have uncovered, inconsistencies between different paragraphs in the thing. So, maybe I'm wrong, but what I would suggest you guys do is operate under the current conditions, get copies of this draft out to as many people as can be handed to, have them read it, have them edit, have them put in comments in the margins, and then take those comments and dilute them into what's relevant and what isn't, and then come up with a finished copy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna go to page 100.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna go to certificate of subdivision compliance. I'm taking into an account that somebody comes in, files their plat, goes through, gets everything approved, blah, 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 it's approved. Prior to the issuance of any zoning permits, now this is somebody to build a house on a lot. That's the zoning permit. So prior to the issuance of any zoning permits to construct improvements on a subdivided lot, building a house, a certificate of subdivision compliance shall be obtained from the administrative officer to ensure that the required infrastructure improvements have been installed in accordance with the conditions of subdivision approval. I would have thought that they went through this whole process and it's approved, and it's signed off by engineers, it's signed off or whatever, but now some zoning or some shall be attained by the administrative officer to ensure that the required infrastructure improvements have been installed. The satisfactory completion of any infrastructure improvement shall be determined by the administrative officer who may condition the certificate of subdivision compliance on receipt of a certificate from the civil engineer of record, okay. But the administrative officer shall not issue a zoning permit for the development or improvement of a subdivided lot within the subdivision until a certificate of subdivision compliance has been issued. So somebody's coming in for a subdivision regulation, and it's all over right now. We have wastewater, potable water permits that are approved by the state of Vermont, and it says where it's gonna be on the land and everything. But some of the houses are being built before, because it's part of the process of a contractor that, you know, I've got a zoning permit, and I know I've got to put in this wastewater system. They're not gonna get a certificate of occupancy until it's up to them, that they have to have the wastewater permit, the wastewater put in. But that's not part, wastewater and stuff like that is not part of subdivision. That's part of zoning.
Okay, so, I mean, so this is saying in compliance with the subdivision improvements, so.
Okay, Andrew, you had a question?
Yeah, question. How is it gonna affect base camp development right now, and obviously the village? Because they're in the process, they've done, they applied for permits, obviously, like.
Base Camp has a 3-lot subdivision that was approved before this came here.
Okay.
And the
And the village is a PUD.
It's a PUD, and
So it's
and
not-
they'll be coming in for a new site plan.
They're coming for
We're
site plan
assuming.
anyway, because they're gonna have to go
And
through.
the Ramshead subdivision's been approved.
The Ramshead subdivision was approved beforehand or whatever.
So that's not gonna delay this?
No. But I'm just getting at, like, on this certificate of subdivision, it's just like another, you know, the administrative officer shall not issue a zoning permit for the development of improvement of a subdivided lot within, until the certificate of subdivision compliance has been issued. And certificate of subdivision compliance should be obtained from the administrative officer to ensure that required infrastructure improvements have been installed. So one would think that is wastewater improvement, electric, all this other stuff. And
It's only what's on the subdivision plat, so it's not for a house, it's just what's shown on the subdivision plat.
Right, in order to get a zoning permit to build a house, the administrator needs to make sure that everything that was on the lot, on the plat, is done. And in the plat map, you're asking for power lines, you're asking for electric, you're asking for roads and this and that and everything. And so it could be the first person's bill. I'm just telling you how this can go.
Yeah.
So I don't like that, but it's, why are we throwing in that you can't get a zoning permit in a subdivision? The subdivision process should just be subdivision, and the subdivision is approved.
Okay, we could just take out the last sentence. Shall not issue a zoning permit for the development or improvement of subdivided lot within the subdivision until the certificate of subdivision compliance has been issued. Although I would think that you would want the subdivision compliance before you issue zoning permits for lots, but.
I would think that when somebody goes through a subdivision application, that their subdivision is approved by the DRB or by the administrator, and it's already set for zoning permits. And it's just, you know.
Okay, I'd like to suspend this, it's not 8:30. Lisa, could you get us a clean copy with all of the changes that have been recommended so that we could review it. And then I'd like to have a discussion here just with the select board members, okay, in terms of how we think we want to proceed on this.
Well, I guess I don't understand what a clean copy is. 'Cause
Well,
these are-
we've had all these discussions over since October.
No, but this is a red line document, so do you want a red line document, or you don't want a red line?
No, I want what the final document would be, okay? Because I want to be able
Well,
to read the final document as it,
So the
yeah.
changes that were on your
With the
list.
changes that are on your
That's
list.
fine, we can make this.
Yeah.
New red line.
Right.
You can make the changes.
Right, yeah,
We're
basically.
keeping it as red line because it's a red line from the existing.
From the existing, right,
bylaw,
right.
okay?
But
And
I'd
that's-
like to have a clear document with everything we've discussed so far,
Right.
okay? So that we can take a look at it.
And
okay?
I got one more thing here, page
Okay.
103.
I mean, I'd rather hear what the things are
Yeah,
first
but
than.
103, page 103, this is subdivision regulations or whatever, but additional items that may be required by the DRB for major subdivisions resulting in creation of 10 or more lots. And there's the traffic impact analysis, and then it's the fiscal impact analysis to facilitate the DRB's determination of the town's ability to serve a proposed subdivision. I mean, why are we getting into, why are we putting in like for greater than 10 when that's gonna go, 10 or more is going to Act 250? And they're gonna say if it needs to be a traffic analysis. And then I think on one of the papers that we got here that has some of the changes in it, do you have that in the beginning? Things like the 140 and over
This one
here,
right yeah.
you know, so, so the second page, additional items that may be required by DRB for major subdivisions resulting in the creation of 10 or more lots, modified to say traffic analysis that addresses peak hour volumes within a half-mile radius of the subdivision.
That's just my proposed change, that's not.
Right. No, I know, but it's in the document that we got. So now somebody's gonna, you're
not in
throwing
the-
it out there.
It's not in the document.
It's
This
not
is
in the
just a
document. but-
recommended
yeah,
change to-
right.
from the-
But I
what
think
was
this is
worded.
this is what Bill, I'm sorry, is asking that what we're saying should be on a clear document.
Clear, so we can read
And
it.
I'm just
Yeah.
saying that, since this is your suggestion, I'm bringing this up to the board, that why are we saying for 10 or more lots, that we're gonna make Act 250 be saying, and say, well, the town is saying that for within a half a mile.
And I just threw that out, I mean.
I know, and I'm just
quarter,
throwing it
but-
out that I think it should not be in the document, that's all.
So anyways, back to the select board. Okay, so gentlemen, I'm not asking for a motion, I'm not asking for you to make a decision this evening. We're gonna have to come back and revisit this. But what I want you to think about, okay, once we get the clean copy, the clean red line from Lisa, okay, and we will distribute it so you all can read it. Okay, the question will become, okay, do we accept the document as is? Do we accept the document as is and give a list of recommendations on items that we want our people to work on, okay, to get back to us in a structured period of time? Or do we reject the document? Those are the three items, okay, that we have to decide one of those items, okay? And Lisa can get the document back to us in a timely fashion so that we have a chance to read it before the next meeting, okay? Yeah, I will bring that portion up for discussion, okay? So basically, we have three items. Either we approve the document outright, we approve the document with recommendations on where the next changes we want to see are, or we reject the document and we tell them to start over. Those are really our three options, and I would look to have that discussion at the next meeting.
Yes, I would like to get that a little bit ahead of time.
Right,
So
we need the document ahead of time so we can read it.
I'd like a paper copy if I could, because I had trouble opening up the
Okay.
one that you sent me, the attachment.
Now, do you want us, because you're not gonna know what the changes are except by reading the entire document, since you want a clean copy, so do you want two
I
copies?
want a red line, I want a red line.
Right, but a red line that
Do you want this to be black and then the changes,
Right,
only
I
the
mean,
new changes from there be red?
Yeah, which
My
red do you want?
My recommendation is two things, that we provide two documents. One is a completely clean copy, because Bill keeps asking for a clean copy. And number two is a document that somehow, and we have to talk about whether we then go from red and we make new changes in blue, or whether we get rid of the red and just make a red line, or whatever. But we have a second document that points out the changes, right? I mean, is that what you guys want, or do you want one clean copy? So
I want it the way it's gonna be, and the changes that have been made to be highlighted.
So what I want is.
The changes, well, hold on one second.
That's why I'm trying, that's why I'm
Jay,
trying.
the question becomes, they have put changes to what the existing document is, okay? On the changes that you want to see, do you want the changes that we have suggested in the process of our meeting since October to be redlined? That's what you're looking at, okay? And everything else is just a document, okay? So this red line goes away, and the only red line you're suggesting is just the changes we've talked about?
Yeah.
Which?
Yes, I want a document with the changes.
So you
Okay.
can see the changes, maybe that the new changes are blue, or we get rid of the red line. Yeah,
If you can do it that way, that's fine.
Ultimately, we're gonna have to, you're gonna have to approve
If
a
you can
red
do it
line.
that way, that's fine. Yeah, if you can, as long as you can highlight the changes that have been made by the
And
select.
I'm lost.
No, I
This,
think we're
this,
there.
this here is red line.
That's a red line.
You can get a
This-
second red line.
This is what I believe was presented to us.
Yes,
In the beginning.
yes.
So,
It is.
this is what was presented to us. So have it in black, and then have the changes from all of these hearings that we're having in red.
That's fine.
Yes.
And that's called a red line
That's
from the
fine.
original document.
That's
I
what
don't
Jay
want to
was
see
saying.
red,
That's what Jay
blue,
was
or
saying.
orange. Yeah, we're
That's what
agreeing.
Jay was saying. We're in agreement. That's what
what I
Jay
want.
was saying.
Now-
That's why I wanted to make sure we have the
Now,
definition of
let
red.
me-
I just needed direction.
A few of the changes were made to the zoning bylaw itself, and not just subdivision regulations, okay? And the zoning bylaw is, you know,
Well,
100.
I mean, you gave us this 100-page document, so I'm sort of thinking you're going to give us the 100 pages.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
You're
thinking.
asking for the whole thing.
Yeah,
You're
because-
asking for
yeah,
the whole
because
thing.
that's what you're asking for us to approve.
Correct.
Yeah.
I mean, I think this is what happened in your planning commission. You started off with something, and then you made changes, and you met up like 10 or 12 times,
Yeah,
and you,
yeah.
and then you gave them different, it wasn't like, here we are now going back to something that we already said no. I want to see the original
fine.
in black, and what we've, or what you think we've said in red.
Okay, so if you can get us that, you can work with that, okay?
Yeah, if anybody wants a handout copy, just reach out to me personally. I can make
Right.
that happen.
Sounds
Okay.
like Ricky wants a
Yeah.
hard copy.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
And,
email me.
yeah,
you know, get it to me.
Yes.
I don't know how
want a hard
long
copy.
it will take you to put that together. Obviously, if you could,
Probably 20, 30 minutes.
20, 30 minutes, right. If you can, the sooner you can get it to us, the more time we have to read it, okay? And then, yeah, we can make some decision, hopefully at the next select board meeting, okay, about which direction we want to take.
And maybe you'll get it done, because I will
Right.
not be here.
That may- I was gonna say, that may spur what we were talking about earlier, is do you wanna have one on the 23rd, as there's another one on the 2nd?
Well, the select board meeting on the
You
2nd.
guys
is-
do this
is-
at the end of the meeting, so that when you do this, that if someone doesn't want to sit here, that's sitting here for the board meeting, doesn't have to waste an hour and a half of their time.
I'm sorry, but this was a hearing, so we were.
No, this is last week, last meeting was the same thing.
Yes, it was.
Okay, so we're waiting here hours to get on an agenda. Why, I'm not getting paid a salary. They do, okay? Have it at the end of your meeting.
Well, there's also a lot of people who are here participating in the hearing.
Then they can come at the end of the meeting.
That's when the hearing was scheduled
Let's not
for.
keep going back
I know,
and forth.
we're not gonna go back and forth. on it. Anyways, so, Lisa and Will, thank you for working on this, okay?
Yes,
And
thank you.
Yeah, thank you, okay? I know
So
it's hard.
procedurally, this is still, it's still a continued public
Yeah,
hearing.
right.
So you still have to move to continue the public hearing to a specific date. Right.
We'll continue to the 23rd,
I will not be here.
okay?
I will be in Costa Rica, I will not be here, so you three can decide,
Watch out for those speed bumps.
you know?
If
I
it
mean,
changes that,
Yeah,
No, but I really like, you know, this all started back to, you know, and Vince made a comment that, you know, which I was at the beginning of the hearings. And I got a lot of pushback, Lisa. I stopped going. Just like now, I'm trying to make recommendations, and I was back then. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna stop going to the planning commission meetings, and I'll wait for it to come to the select board. You know, I tried. I tried going in as the zoning administrator, you know, and it just got ridiculous.
Well, I think you did participate in.
I did in a bunch, and then all of a sudden it was an argument, like even the outcropping rocks, which I, you know, I tried getting that out then.
I think you participated in every.
There was a lot of positive feedback.
Yeah.
And it resulted in a better document.
Right, and I'm still trying to get it to a better document, Vince. And I'm the one that has to enforce it at this time, and I don't think it's very easily to be understood even by the zoning administrator and/or somebody applying. That's all.
Okay. Jim,
I'm done.
Vito, last comment.
It's not a comment, it's a question. Is it possible for the public to get a copy of what you're gonna get before the next meeting or not?
It should be posted on the website.
Yeah,
It's posted on the town website,
Oh, okay.
but I'll make sure that, on the.
The revised
Yeah,
one.
I'll make sure that the updated one gets onto the calendar, the
Okay.
town calendar for the next meeting.
But again, let me finish.
Well, I was hoping to
Lisa,
get it before.
I know
No,
it's
it'll
tough,
be on
okay?
before.
and
Yeah,
we
okay.
don't, it's
In preparation.
not personal by any stretch of the imagination.
I'll take it personal.
I know, but it's a hard process, and we gotta get through it, and we appreciate the work that you and will have done.
I'm gonna make a
And,
motion.
and also the people on the zoning board have done on this.
Planning commission.
Planning commission have done. Okay, we do appreciate that. Okay.
Bill, I have a question. Does it really make sense, with as long as this process has taken since, whatever, September, October, and several times already this year, does it really make sense to do the next meeting without Jim here, who has been an integral part of it and has to administer it? It just seems to me like that's more important to have him part of it than a particular date. Just ask you, sir.
I'm gonna make a motion to continue the hearing till February 23rd at 7 o'clock, okay? And if you can get a second, then we can have a discussion.
Do I have a second? Okay, Jay seconded? Discussion?
To me, and there's nothing against that side of the room, but you and I have been like putting a lot into this, and, you know, and sitting as a zoning administrator, I do agree with Rob is saying, and I'm just looking for a clean document, and I will, if you guys want to meet on the 23rd, and you want to make the 3-0 vote to approve it, you know, if I can get a document, and I don't think I'm gonna get it before Saturday of this week.
When are you coming back, John?
I'm coming back on the 20th, I'll be back in town the night of the 24th. So,
Let's do it next week.
so the 25th or whatever. And, you know, if you guys want to have that,
We could
the
certainly
motion's
get
on
it-
the table.
We can certainly get it done before
You know,
Saturday.
But if you want to do it and have it that, you know, I don't believe that written comments is the same as being in person, but because things can come up. But it's up to you guys. You know, I'm the one that's gonna have to enforce it, and I
No,
don't,
I don't think it's a bad idea to push it.
you know.
No need.
Well, the question becomes, okay, and this is just associated with the previous discussion, okay, that we had. Well, we know that the town meeting is gonna be on, you know, the week after, okay? We know that if we see the new select board with new select board members, okay, do we wind up restarting that whole process? And I think that's
No,
one
that
of the
was,
concerns.
no, that was clarified.
But it's not.
That's why I went to the VLCT attorney, and she clarified that, no, it doesn't.
Well, that's assuming the new.
Jim's here, is what I think.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Are you planning to have a regular meeting on the 9th? So then you may want to recommend not having it.
Yeah, there would be a regular meeting on the 9th.
Yeah, because then you got
Yeah.
3 weeks in a row,
There would be a regular meeting on the 9th.
unless you cancel the 23rd meeting.
Yeah.
Well, I canceled
Nervous
it.
about scheduling that meeting on the
You're
16th.
canceled because you're not.
So one thing I do want to, just a date, is that we're trying to get a public meeting scheduled on the road project. And remember,
that's
we
right.
threw out March 16th, and I was nervous about committing to that because it's a Monday night and it could be a select board meeting. And remember, we said we'd get back to them tomorrow. So I just want to, a decision has to be made on whether there's going to be a meeting on the 16th
The
of
regular
March.
select board meeting would be the 9th, and then we need to get back to regular select board meetings. Okay, so the regular select board meetings in March would be the 9th and the 23rd.
Right, and that's why we're,
Yeah, the road one isn't a select
Right,
board meeting.
okay.
no,
Right.
I just, if you're thinking of a special meeting, I just,
Don't do it on that day.
just don't do it on that date because
Don't
we're
do it
going to
on the
schedule
16th.
something else on that
Okay.
date.
So you have Andrew running against Vito, and they've
Well,
both been
it's-
taking,
it's-
no, they've both been participating in these hearings, okay? You have John Wasaki against Jay, and John has been listening, or at the time, or he listens to the recording when he's driving. So you have 4 people that if it changes, they're all listening and they know where they're at. So,
I say we push it back so he's here.
Push it back?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
so,
the thing that makes
I
sense.
Do
would,
you want to push it?
That would be pushing it back to the 9th.
Yeah.
so I would draw my motion if you guys, or we could have a vote to
Let's-
say no.
Why don't we modify your motion to do it on March 9th?
Okay, I will modify my motion to say March 9th at 7 PM. Who seconded? Did you second my first one?
Actually, I think Jay's second.
Yeah, okay. So
Okay.
Jay has to say yes.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, so it's, okay, so,
Who said bye?
yeah.
Who
So,
said aye?
New World
Laura,
Development.
on behalf of New World Development, said aye.
so Will, again, if you could still get us that document so we could review it, okay? And then we will reconvene on this issue on the
Actually,
9th.
I like that idea, it gives you a little more time to read it too.
Right,
possibly.
right.
I mean, it's-
Interpret.
For
Okay.
me, sometimes it's
If
tough.
you guys could put it at the end of the meeting, would be nice too.
We'll take that into consideration.
You know, if anyone has any, select board members have any comments, you know, feel free to kind of discuss them with us.
I think since we started an open meeting, we
Um,
should keep our comments to the open meeting and not get our answers answered,
Well, I'm
not
not
in
suggesting.
front of the public.
I'm not suggesting answering, I'm saying if they have comments, feed them to us. I mean, it's good to know in advance of the
I
meeting.
think we gave
And
them.
same with members of the public, you know, feel free to give us comments. Okay, we're not changing the document, you know, without, in a public setting, but it's helpful to have comments.
And
so
all
that
I'm saying is
in
that I've made my
advance-
comments in the open meetings.
That's fine, but if
And
you
I'm
give
not
it,
gonna start adding more comments without the public.
that's
So
fine.
whatever comments I have made should be recognized in the document.
Okay. I want to move that this subject has been closed and we
Well, we did.
start
It
the
has
next.
not been closed, it's been continued to March
Been-
9th at the 7th.
Closed at this meeting, continued to
voted
March,
yes.
continued to March 9th, okay? And,
At 7 o'clock.
Town managers report.
And town managers, go to the next select board item.
Sure.
Town managers report.
Okay, I've got some items. Historical Society will be utilizing part of the vault in the rec department, to store and scan documents, just updating on some stuff. So I went through some stuff and they got excited because we found some documents from 1848 downstairs. They're a little musty, and I told them I'd bring up that if anyone's interested in helping categorize, you know, take some of these documents out and lay them out in the sun when the time is right, or they would much appreciate any help. So Sheila Billsmaker is the contact there. Or you can reach out to me and I'll get you in contact with them. Next, I've had some contact with AJGA, the golf tournament. They're interested in doing a tournament this summer, same time as they typically would do, which is right before 4th of July. And they would, they said this year they may have some funding partners already lined up that they could help us with. And I've reached out to a few other ones also. But I wanted to get your guys' stance on it. I know that we were talking, when it was the three of us, we were talking about bringing it back at one point, but I wanted to poll the larger group. If you want me to continue for this year, or if you want to push it out to 2027, or just not.
I would push it out to 2027, and I would get in conversations with the resort, because they are supposed to be, that was part of the reason of getting rid of the 1% sales option tax, that they would be funding certain things like this. And just because it went off the table, it's, you know, it was canceled out.
I mean, I can get with them before the...
Well, if you can, before, you know.
But I just want to gauge if there's interest of me trying to pursue it for this year.
I think it's worth pursuing.
Yeah, I do think it's worth pursuing as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Patrick, look in with Brown, how much money you're losing doing that too.
Well, that's part of his looking into.
Yeah, that's about it, yeah. The town report is, we got a proof back from the printers, and I think we've sent the other one out today, or it's in process of being sent out again. So that is on track. There is going to be a school board meeting here at the Public Safety Building on February 19th. I set that up with Seth Webb. Again, he just asked me to bring it to anyone here. It's going to be about their bond vote. And you'll also be able to obviously zoom in. And that's why they wanted to do it here, so they could have a little bit better speaker camera setup. Interviews have started for Department of Public Works, and we're hoping to have an offer out by next week. Next week, because we'll have all the interviews, the first round of interviews completed. Public Works Department. Director. Please check to see if there's nothing on March 16th, so we can do that. This is the
March 16th.
That's what Lisa was talking about. That there's no reason we're going to have a special select board meeting that we can think of that we do. No.
I wouldn't think so.
Also wanted to get approval. Something we typically do every year is put the state tax money that's collected into a CD for 2 months before it is due. Typically it's in there for 3 months, and it's a good chunk of change that is generated off the interest of that. So I want to get,
I don't think we say the state funds. We come up with a dollar amount from the general fund, because it's all one.
It's all in there, yeah, so
come up with a dollar amount, how much, and show us that it can. On one hand, I'm hearing that we're short money, so then why am I going to tie up money for 3 months or 4 months?
It's money that we shouldn't be spending anyway, because it is going to, it's already earmarked, but we have a lay period to hold on. Monica, do you want me to come back with a dollar amount, or?
Yeah, I think we need to talk to Kirsten about it, and we need
Okay,
to see
so we'll come back on
where
the
we are
23rd.
in like a week and a half, and see where we are.
Is there, if we got it in after the 23rd, are we still okay on timing?
That's gonna be close, but yes, the 23 is fine.
We have the rest of the stuff lined up, and
Yeah.
this approval and all that. Okay. Other than that, that's gonna bring us to budget status for,
The forensic RFI, you want to do
oh,
the
did I
forensic
scroll?
audit
I'm
stuff
sorry.
first?
Forensic audit, we did get a few more RFIs, and so we had four returns to the RFI plus our estimate from our auditor who is not eligible to complete it. They're all same ballpark area, and one of the kind of overarching themes is they recommend we change the scope because the scope is broad, and that's part of why the price is so high. But that is something that would have to change after any articles are voted on. Specific questions about the RFIs?
I would just like in the future, when we have an agenda and there's stuff on here that, as a select board member, I would have gotten in my packet, the forensic audit packets that came back.
I can provide them to you. There's one of them that is marked confidential that has prior business information, so I can give you
You can send out something saying confidential, check with VLCT. There are.
Right, no, I was gonna say I can send it to you, but there's also, if the public wants, we have a redacted version of that one.
Yeah, okay, well, what I'm saying is that on Friday, all I got was the agenda and the minutes.
Yeah.
I didn't get forensic audit, RFI update, I didn't get the FY 2026 year-to-date budget review.
We went
Well, I mean, it's on there, I would like to see what the.
Well, I'm gonna show you my working
Okay.
of that. But if you'd like a copy of one of the RFIs, I can make it available to you. Again, the one that's marked confidential, I want to be just careful about passing out.
Where are they coming in on dollar values to do the work?
The highest was minimum 300,000. The middle ones were, oops. 120 to 210. Another one was St. General. No, it was 150. And then the third did not give a full price. They said because we think the scope is incorrect, but that's not how they do it. They said that the initial phase would be 25 to 37,000, and they can't. And then they just gave me their hourly rate for after that.
So my question would be, like, when it came to us from the public, it didn't ask for criminal and all this other stuff, and I think you got into.
No, just, no, it doesn't
Well,
get
at
into
the
that.
last meeting, you spoke about criminal.
Yeah, a forensic audit rises to the level that can be used in a criminal court.
Okay, well, I think you did say if you listened to the recording, you were like.
Yeah, you did.
200.
You said that
I'm talking, okay?
Okay.
But if you listened to the recording, you had said that $200,000 was because of, if it went to, and then there's criminal proceedings and everything. And what
Yeah.
I'm getting at is that, so you did say that.
Yeah.
Okay? And that's why it was 200,000. And what the petition didn't say to go criminal. They just, I think they want to find
No,
out what it
the
is.
petition says forensic, okay, and the definition of a forensic audit brings it that way. I think
Yeah.
what you're saying is that they've all come back and also said, wait a minute, you might want to redefine the scope.
Yeah.
Okay, and that would be what
That's
you're
the-
bringing up here.
Yeah, they.
So what they're saying is you can do a forensic audit without criminal.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm
Okay.
saying, what they're saying is what's written in both articles is 3 years, full look, full scope, and then lists a bunch of stuff. And they said, that's not really how you want to do it. How you do it is, we come in, we interview all the employees, we interview, select board, different director level people, elected officials, and then they scope down from there. So they're not looking at things that isn't a concern. They would say, oh, if it, like you brought up payroll or vacation time, then like, okay, we can look at that, but they're not necessarily going to then be looking at the highway funds in the SALT budget. So it's, right now, it's set up as full scope everything. And so what they're writing is full scope everything, and they're saying that's not the best way to do it. Because they'll take samples.
And I agree with that. I think there
Yeah.
should be a compliance audit,
Yeah, no, I agree.
verifying that
I
the
agree.
policy has been followed
Right.
to payroll and other things.
And have a better setup.
And I think
of-
everybody here, I mean, I think, Jay, you once asked us to have while you were in the Citizens, you asked us just to follow the policy as was written.
Yeah,
And-
but that's not what the articles are.
Yeah, I get it,
Yeah.
but that's what they put out there, and they get the signatures, we have to put it out.
Right, exactly.
Right, yeah.
Exactly.
But we'll have, basically, if it does get approved to go forward, we'll have to then get a solid bid based upon
The
a
article.
true scope of work. Yeah.
Well,
And the
no,
article.
because we have to go by the
Go by the article.
article. And the
Yeah, that's
article
true.
is 3-year.
That's
So
true.
you're at 30,000 to 200,000.
Well, 30,000 for one phase of it.
Well, then maybe
defining
that
a
phase
scope of
doesn't
work.
work.
Yeah, the 30,000 is for defining a scope of work. And then the other ones are,
That means they're writing a proposal.
yeah.
You can't really look at the specific stuff we pointed out.
For $30,000, they're writing you a proposal.
No, they would come in and define the scope. So they would come in, yeah, sure, you can say it like that, but they would come in, do the interviews and do all that too, yeah. That's not them actually digging into everything.
We don't want
Right, we don't,
that. It's a waste of money.
Right, well, no, then.
I don't think that's a waste of money.
No, because that would lead then to the actual investigation, but they only gave us the first part.
So it's varying all over the road.
Well, it's
It's anywhere from, I would say.
100 to 300.
100 to 300.
yeah, it's 100 to 300.
Yeah.
Which I said to you in the beginning, you should cap it at 100 grand, that's how you should have put it in.
George, do you have a copy of the language on the petition?
I do not have it with me.
We have it.
We have it, that's what's in
What
the,
does it say?
what's already been approved, and it's already in the town book,
What
and
does it
already the
say?
warrants.
It
Yeah.
says, 3 years full scope to include, and then it lists a bunch of things. I think I can pull it.
Because did you offer that to them that way?
Yes, I did, it's basically just. as
And is
an
yours copying mine too?
Yeah.
It is.
But this one won't have the signatures on it because, that's how things are.
Right.
This will be,
4 and 5, yeah.
yeah, shall the voters authorize fund independent third-party forensic audit for the 3 most recently completed fiscal years, FY '23 through '25. Said audit shall be conducted by external audit firm with no prior relationship with the town. Here you go. Scope of the audit is to include but not limited to review of general funds activity, personal and payroll policies, capital expenditures, department budgets, compliance with reporting requirements, grants and bonds and projects, and internal financial control over receipts and disbursements. Thank you, disbursements. Yeah.
Disbursements.
Disbursements.
I have those problems too.
Yeah, it's rough.
So what I'm getting at is it does not say in there criminal. That's what I said
No,
in the beginning.
a forensic audit is to the level that can be used in a criminal.
That
could
Well, now you can decide later. Could be
The reason I asked,
used.
the reason I asked for the language is this, where does it say it's got to be a full scope audit or something like that?
Says the first sentence, shall the voters authorize and fund an independent third-party forensic audit?
The scope of
Okay,
the audit
so
shall.
again, I asked, where does it say a full scope audit?
It's in the, sorry. yeah,
Well, it's
so
broken down in
it's
the
not
other
full
form.
scope, it is for general fund activity, personnel, payroll policies, capital expenditures, department budgets. These are everything. I can't think of something that's not included in that.
So compliance with reporting requirements for grants and bonded projects, and internal financial controls over receipts and disbursements.
This is.
So it gets into
everything.
It's everything.
It's everything.
You know,
Okay, so where does it say full scope?
it doesn't.
It does.
Okay, it doesn't say that. So we defined exactly what we wanted these people to look at.
Yes.
Okay.
In that.
A forensic audit can be
I can give you the
as
RFI.
simple as just doing an audit, like you said, interviewing these people, looking at the records, but specifically, they can do in-depth stuff to specific areas if they find something they need to look at closer. We don't have to raise this to a level where there's legal action and we have to expend money on lawyers. In fact, I'm wondering why we have to expend money on lawyers, because we'd have to go to the state attorney if we're gonna arrest somebody and have them on.
I think the point is, okay, when, in going back to these people, when you say the word forensic, okay, they've come back and said, well, you know, do you mean that you want us to be able to go to a lawyer? Okay, and I think right now what Patrick is saying, well, if this gets approved by the voters, you know, we will give you a full-fledged scope of work document to give us a full and final quote, okay?
Yeah, and these are non-binding.
Yeah.
These are,
Okay, well, I like that bid that you got for 25.
But they're right, yeah.
They can further define,
Yeah.
because I think initially they would take a overall look to see where they need to look further.
right, but that is, you have to understand, that is not, they wouldn't just stop there. I mean,
I'm not
we-
saying
we
they
could
should,
say-
I'm just
right,
saying
So then
they'll
there's going to
give
be
you-
further cost.
No,
if
that's
you
why I
approve
like
it.
starting at
Well, it could
25
be
to
less cost
37.
because they're finding nothing wrong in this section, but that's.
I mean, I just gotta come
You
back
swing
to
that both
that.
ways.
It's the article, this is what the article is.
That's what the article says.
But it's not, no, like, we're blaming it on the article, but Jay asked for he ran on a forensic audit with lies and
Jim,
whatever.
we're talking about the article.
Okay, well, but how did we get here? But how did we get here because of?
This is what.
No, I get it.
This is what is signed by the voters.
Listen,
and-
So number one, let's stop for a second. I stood up here and apologized that I used the term forensic audit probably incorrectly, not understanding what it meant. That was wrong. I apologize for that.
Should I get you a pocket dictionary?
Jim, stop being the ass right now.
No, really. You ran on something.
We have gone down this road already. We've been down this road already.
Okay, I'm gonna stay away from the forensic. I accept your apology on
I'm not gonna
forensic.
engage with you.
What lies and dishonesty? What lies and dishonesty did you run on?
Jim, point of order.
I'm gonna keep going on my
I'm not
manager's
gonna
report.
engage.
Point of order. We're talking about the articles, okay? And that's what we're talking about, okay? And in prior meetings, recent meetings, questions from citizens were, what were the bids for the forensic audit? And this was the update that Patrick was providing.
So 30,000 to 300.
30,000 for some definition of work, up to 300, yes, that was the update that Patrick was
Which
providing.
included criminal charges.
No.
No, it was for what is defined as a forensic audit.
Well, last
Okay, and
week or the
and-
week before, you said up to 200,000 and you went through that included
And we said
criminal.
200,000.
All right, and you said it included criminal.
Jim, if you'd like to send out different RFIs, we can do that, but this is what was tasked, this is based on the article, this is the information I got back from independent companies. I don't know what else to bring.
Yeah, but he's just mentioning what you said at the last meeting.
That's all.
Yeah.
You said the 200 included criminal.
You did.
You didn't say how
No,
far.
no, the 200 was to limit.
Well, you just said it today. Yes, I did.
The 200 that was originally put, that's on Article 5, was to limit the expenditures to 200.
Yeah.
Okay, you will
should put your
see.
expenditure, I don't
You
know.
will see that the article is written exactly the same,
Okay, let's
okay,
just-
only it has we will spend up to 200,000. That's-
Listen, I'm just gonna start shooting out words that I don't understand and then just blow it off. So
Okay.
let's move on from the RFI. It's
No, I'd like to
3,200.
And I'd like to comment.
That's up to Bill.
Bill, please.
Keep it short.
Yeah, sure. I believe when we started the financial audit, that needs to be completed. And I was told that it's gonna be completed in June. I believe
Update
you
on
guys are jumping the gun, trying to do the forensic audit
It's not the same.
before completing, but why won't we just
Andrew,
complete it, right?
Andrew.
So if that's being completed, this is just my opinion, when the financial audit can be completed, and you guys are gonna get the files exactly what they found, what was moved around and so on. And at that point, you guys can decide if you want to move forward with more.
Andrew, that was the plan, okay, but with the creation of the articles for the town meeting, okay, by the voters, okay, the plan got changed. Okay, so the plan we currently have, okay, is what the voters have requested, okay, and we're going to go with what the voters requested. And the articles that the voters, the article that the voter requested, Article 4, okay, is as provided to us, okay, with signatures. And the select board originally said, no, we don't want to consider that, but that's okay. We had a discussion and we put it back on, okay, and the select board had a vote to modify that article to put in a hard dollar amount that we wouldn't spend above, okay? Those are the only two changes that we had, but the article is what the voters have asked for, and we have to go by that, okay, until we're told otherwise.
But you don't really have a number on that when you have 5 different numbers.
No, we don't have a number on that, that's right, and that's why the, but that's why the select board.
But you put it in your article.
But the reason the select board was trying to give, okay, the voters, an indication of how much we thought it was going to cost.
But
And lo and behold,
I'm gonna call the question, I'm gonna call the question.
there's no question.
The conversation to move on. Okay, so.
Point of order, Jim, thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Jim.
So we're going to talk about FY '26, which is the current year that we're in. And we really haven't gotten a good rundown of, just ignore this for now, rundown of where we stand financially since
Forever.
we came on.
Yeah.
And so, the good news is in our expenditures, and I'm just gonna filter this right now by operational. Typically, or generally, we are on track overall with our spending. There's categories that need to be, things need to be pulled out, like the rec office area, year 34, one's 8. This is some things that were for the town office build, got put in the wrong area, so there's some things we need to detangle. But as far as expenditures go, we're in generally a good place.
So so if I read this chart,
Yes, sorry.
okay,
You want to see more than just the
you
departments?
just go to the bottom,
Yep.
okay? Now you just changed the
Oh,
numbers.
yes, so that's all I'm gonna say. There's two things here. There is gonna be a, like your operational burn.
Go to the operational burn.
Yeah, so the operational burn is what we can kind of have more control over, or is not,
Okay.
you know, it's all front loaded or back loaded.
Okay, so the operational budget was originally $5.2 million.
Yep.
Okay, you're saying right now we've spent $2.8 million, and that's through month 7, that's through the end of January.
Yep, through period 7, which would be January.
Okay, and then you believe we're gonna come in at 4.8, is that number at the far?
For the operational side
For the
of it,
operational side
yes.
of it, for the
operational
okay.
side of it, I believe we're gonna be slightly under budget because, like, there's been, the police department has not been able to fill that staff position.
Okay.
There was another, there's a few other things, the fire department has some stuff moving around.
Okay, so for the operating budget, we're gonna come in plus or minus 400,000 under the operating budget. Is that
So
correct?
say that.
For the operating budget,
Yeah.
instead of 5.2, we're gonna spend 4.8.
That's my estimate.
That's
Yes,
your estimate.
that's my estimate.
As of today, and we're gonna
Yeah.
get another estimate for you in March.
Yes.
And we're gonna get another estimate for you in April.
Yes,
And we're gonna get
exactly.
another estimate for you, okay. Just,
Yes.
because we're gonna track this. We're not
Can
gonna
we get
lose
a
that.
treasurer's report also, like we're supposed
At
to?
the future meeting we can.
Yeah. Okay, so right now, we're coming in with roughly 400K under
Our
our
spending looks.
estimated operating expenses.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, there's gonna be some potential.
Yeah, potential, yeah, it's all potential.
And there is, again, some, if you pull the actual, the gross burn versus the operational burn, it's gonna be slightly lower expectation than that.
Okay.
Just because there's some bigger things that are swaying it.
So that's
one way
with the
or other.
bonded indebtedness and everything else?
Exactly. Like,
Okay.
we know the capital's gonna be on point. We know that the bonds are gonna be on point, or they should be very, very close if there's any.
Okay.
And same thing, other expense, the 375, that's a carryover from 2024. We know that is baked in.
Okay.
So what you're saying here is that you're looking at a $401,000 decrease from what was budgeted on the expenses.
Yes. Deficit
As of today.
spend, as of today.
So then when I look at the 2027 budget that we're voting on with 8 million whatever, no, I'm asking, can I finish?
Yeah, but I want to make
He
sure I
had-
understand,
he
it's not the
answered it-
5 million.
Yeah.
No, it's not the 5 million number.
Right.
It's saying, this was saying we were supposed to have 7,912,000.
Yes.
Okay, and there's a 13% whatever increase or whatever to get up to the 8 point whatever million dollars, correct?
Well, the municipal money that needs to be raised.
Right, all of it, 13%.
Over the last.
But in actuality, we may be at 7.5. How true do you think the 8.5 is?
How are you getting to that wait, sorry, how true do I think that?
It says total, D is saying 7,900,000, and I is saying 7,500,000.
Right.
So you're coming in and telling me right now that you believe instead of raising the that the expenses would be 7.9, okay?
Yeah.
That they're really gonna be 7.5
For this fiscal year, yes.
for this fiscal year.
Yes.
Okay.
That's, as of now, yes, and that's partly because things that we budgeted, like positions, have not been filled.
Right.
So if you're saying for 2027,
Those numbers should be-
I would hope we would come in right on, because we would then get the positions filled that we were.
And all I'm saying is
for
from
instance, if you look-
7.5 to what you really think we're gonna be, Might be higher than the 12.9%.
But if you look at the police department, again, as an example, the police department had 400,000 budgeted, but they're
They
now
always have.
projecting,
They
but
always
they're
do
now
that.
projecting 286, so that's dropping 120,000
Yeah.
But that's been for the
into that
last.
400,000 number.
Since the police department has been
As an example.
started.
They've always been
There's
under
always
budget.
been.
Yeah,
under,
right.
okay?
And that's a lot of it comes down to difficulties in staffing.
Right.
So we budget for the staffing, but then if the
All
staffing
I'm,
isn't
all I'm
there,
getting is
it
that
doesn't get spent.
7.9 million was projected back in the day.
Right, a year ago.
This
Yeah.
time,
Yeah.
this time of year.
A year ago.
Yes.
Right.
And
we're
now,
right now,
6 or
Now,
7 months
The best
in,
guess is
Best
7.5.
we're
guess
saying
is under.
7.5.
Right, best guess is 7.5.
I think that's
And
the
all I'm
best one,
saying
because I
is,
did
the
not.
new budget for 2027 is, we were
Higher.
saying is going to be 8 point something, and we were saying it's 12.9% higher than the 7,900,000.
But,
No,
no.
You can't compare that.
No, because you gotta, if you take out the 488, the operational budget was up 3%.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
180.
If you take out the 488, you gotta take the
Yeah,
488.
187 something, or 200,000.
Yeah.
So then the 3% might be 5%.
I would not compare it to this year.
Okay.
Yeah. At least
Okay.
these numbers. I can do that differently.
So where are we on revenue?
The issue comes in when we start looking at revenue, is the revenue is going to be way under what was budgeted. And so right now, and this is making assumption that we get 95% of the tax coming in, which is pretty standard. Over the last couple of years, we've had 85 to 97%. So I think 85 was last year, a little bit of outlier. So I took the average of 94.99. So that's assuming that we have a little bit shortfall there. Planning and zoning, most of it we collect in November. So I think it's maybe pretty tough to get an extra 50,000 between now and June. State and federal, it should have been budgeted lower. Solid waste seems high compared to where we've been at. The big one comes in with other income. $210,000 was counted as revenue, which was the housing money we received from Great Gulf. That is not revenue. It is a reimbursement for already expended funds. So we have never counted it as revenue in years prior when we did collect it. I don't know why it was included in FY26 budget.
What was that?
The 210,000 from Great Gulf.
It was only 1 year, and then the town
Right.
at that point put it into other revenue because it was coming in after that it was already paid. That was his choice.
Yeah, right.
So other years,
But I'm
it was only
saying-
1 year.
Right, and that is creating a shortfall in projected revenue.
Okay.
Another thing that is causing that is there was a decision to have unexpended project funds as a negative expense, which would be a reimbursement. And when I kind of looked into this, this was just a line to make the budget balanced. There's actually nothing attributed to it. So right there is $357,000 that we're going to have to make up in some way. Good thing is, it looks like our spending is coming in under, but with the other stuff, I did talk about to some of the business owners in town to gauge their busyness to see if our 1% is going to be on track. They said that business has been strong, so that should be close to target or higher. Typically, we go a little bit higher. Hopefully, that's the case. I'm counting it as a net zero. But with these deficits, there's potential of 760,000 shortfall in revenue on the 2026 budget. So there's that. If we offset it with the amount from our underspend on the finance, that leaves us with 359 of a shortfall.
And we're not gonna have that.
Which we're not gonna have.
We're not gonna have that.
And we can, no, we are not gonna have that much of a shortfall. We're not gonna have a shortfall. So to do this, we have to get proactive and start generating more revenue because we are not gonna be able to cut this much in spending. Unrealistic. If we just laid everyone off from the town, we would not be able to do that for the rest of the 5 months. So we have started delinquent tax sale process. That is, it looks like we have up to 469,000, which is good, because that may push us over. So if we put that in,
That would wipe it out.
That wipes it out. I do have some, I would still be a little concerned with just that. So the other things that I want to look at are getting approval from the board to start looking into sale of some of the workforce housing land that Green Mountain Power was interested in a year or two ago. It is not attached to the part
They're
that
not
is
interested
workforce.
anymore.
They're not interested, well, I'd like to be able to reach out to gauge them. And then also look at selling the fire building on River Road. Currently, it is used as a storage shed or garage. We have the rec van parked in it. It can, as far as I have been told, it it doesn't have water on it or septic, so it's not something that would ever turn into an office. It is just
It's a failed lot.
It's a failed lot.
And it's not even an acre.
No.
So what are you gonna get, $10,000 worth?
There's some interesting buyers. It is something. I'm looking at getting something so we don't have deficits.
But then you've got a rec department that asked to park their van to protect it, so we're just gonna throw it out because we're gonna get $10,000?
Honestly, I think your van would be better parked outside than in a building like that, less
mice.
mice and stuff.
Yeah. We can work with, talk to the
Put it underneath one of the solar covers or something.
Yep, we can still cover it in some way, put a tarp, not tarp, but a car cover over it. There's other ways to do it. My concern is just making sure we don't have a shortfall of 300,
some odd thousand
What about
dollars.
trucks that need to go? That's another
We do have a few there to sell. I've been told that needs to go back, or it should go back into the vehicle fund so that we don't fall behind on purchasing other ones. So I'm looking for outside assets than typical.
So can you just, planning and zoning, can you break out what's what? You just have planning and zoning for revenue.
Yeah.
So it was 291 was budgeted, okay? The FY 2026 to date is 240,
Yeah.
okay?
Majority of that's from short-term rental fees.
Well, there's over $20,000 from zoning, so it's down to 220, and for short-term rentals. Where is so we're saying now we're only gonna get to, we're at 240, and we're only gonna go up $11,000 from now until June 30th?
From what I've been told, that it's front-loaded in November. Like, are you expecting a lot more short-term rental revenue?
I'm not on short-term rental anymore, you guys took me off of it.
Okay,
But last,
well, then I'll tell you is I've been told that.
but last,
No, I don't
yeah, I
expect you're gonna get
know,
that.
but last year, we were at 251
Yeah.
in short-term rental fees.
Okay.
So now you're telling me that we're only gonna be about 210, 211.
No, I'm
220,
saying
thanks.
241. If you want, I can say it's 250. I feel less.
Well, you were saying that there was.
Part of that, that's not all
Is there
short-term
20K
rental.
Is there
There's over
20K in
20K.
zoning?
Yeah, there's more than
Okay,
that.
so what he's saying is there's 20K in zoning right now, so that would give you 220 was collected in short-term rentals. Okay, so the question is.
Why?
If short-term rentals was 251 last year, why is it
Why is it
only
gonna be less than 220?
Why is it only 220 this year?
You lost $31,000 in short-term rental.
Right, that's the question. And I think you gotta go back, was Will's doing that? Who's doing it?
No.
Linda? Okay, you gotta go back and you gotta ask that question.
I can tell you
Yeah,
how it was budgeted out.
yeah. Because, I mean, we gotta find every dollar, so we gotta go back to the people and figure out where they are.
Well, the issue is that Linda really doesn't have the authority to go after for finding people that are not serving on, but I got dropped off of it, but that's okay.
If we find those people, then you can go after them. That's part of zoning administrator.
No, I have nothing to do with short-term rental.
Okay. So what I'm seeing in here is it was budgeted for 270 in rental registration fees, even though last year it was 251. So
Right, and the year before that was
been-
240, and the year before that was 220.
Right, so there keeps being this over,
Moving to.
yeah. So there was a increase in expected fees, but no adjustment in fee structure.
And if I remember correctly, those fees come in by self-identification of, okay, but we also have a company that,
We have a company that.
No, it's not, they don't
They
do that.
monitor.
Do we have a company that monitors it?
compliance if you are registered.
okay.
No, it's not. They monitor any short-term rental out there.
Right.
any short-term rental out there. If they're not,
So we
if
might
they're
wanna look
not,
at, we might wanna
yeah.
look at their reports and see them, see if
Yeah.
there's people we should go after.
But if you take a look at 2024, 2023, 2022, you'll see that it was increasing up. And you also remember, I had said, yeah, they put 270 there or whatever, but that was at the higher rate that we were charging. But even still, each year, when you had a zoning administrator that was doing short-term rental, it would increase each year.
Even if this went up 30,000, that's not gonna fix the issue that we're faced with.
Okay, if you, okay, so.
So we can put whatever number you'd like.
The thing is, you.
I don't want to put any number, I'm just telling you that
So
you've
what I'm
gone down on
saying
one
as-
line.
Every dollar we can get.
Yeah, as the,
Yeah.
as the town manager, this is the information that I have at this moment. We are gonna go after as much as we can.
But that, what,
I wanted approval to start looking at selling off other assets.
so, yeah, so then planning and zoning is just an opportunity.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Let's go back a little bit further before we get to the asset sale. Let's go back to the tax stuff. Do you have any estimate from prior years on, like you say, you could collect 465,000. Okay, do you have any estimate on how valid that is?
My understanding is that if the amount isn't paid, then it goes to tax sale, and we get whatever is in the tax sale up to that amount, and anything over the amount that is owed in taxes gets held.
So
So-
you're sending out letters to all these people that owe money, okay? And then the next step after that is they either pay by when?
Yep. I believe it's 30 days after they get the notice.
30 days after they get the notice, they're supposed to pay.
And then the
And then if
tax
they
sale starts
don't,
proceeding.
then we start a tax sale
And
proceeding.
that's about 2 months process.
Can you scroll so we can see the whole
Up.
thing?
Okay,
Which way? Up?
Yeah, so we can see the whole thing.
okay. So, but you don't have an estimate of that 400, like, are we probably gonna collect 300,000? You have, or, you have no idea?
I
Okay.
don't know.
So, part of your job for next month is to identify what you
Yeah.
think is real there. Because
Yeah.
that's
That's
a
gonna be a
huge.
big swing.
That's,
Yeah.
well, but that big swing makes up a huge difference in terms of how much of a deficit we have. So, yeah.
Yeah, that is correct, that they have a year to pay before they lose it, but we would already have collected the tax money at that point.
Is Rick Kevin here?
I have stripped out to just parcel ID, so I'd have to look at my other document, but this is from
Well, do you have that?
2022, 2023, 2024.
Book? Do you have, you have a copy of this year's book, right? That's going
I have
out?
2024 with me.
Okay, you should
I
have
should have it, yeah.
2025 somewhere.
I don't have it with me.
Can I see the book?
Yeah.
Oh, I got a book.
You got a
here.
book, you got a book.
I got a book, I brought one this time, Bill.
This is the numbers pulled from NIMRIC that are currently outstanding.
Okay. I thought Rick Kev was out of it,
I
actually.
thought Rick Kevin was also out of it.
I thought they were out of it.
Yeah, I
Well,
don't believe they're on this list.
Well, in the June 30th, 2024 book, it's got Rick Kev.
Yeah. They may have paid or been settled between that time.
Well, it was a
and-
tax sale.
Yeah, so it's been settled, so it's not in here anymore.
Yeah. How much of this is for this year?
We can't collect for
Yeah, okay,
2025.
good.
We can
So-
only do 2024 back.
Okay. So for up to 2023, there was 246,000.
Okay.
Okay, so for 2024, there's another $200,000 or whatever. And none of these people have paid anything back yet?
The
Some of
current
them.
list in NIMRIC is, this is what is owed on
Okay.
delinquent taxes.
I'm gonna ask the select board member if you can give me a list of the, give me a copy of that, and then I can pull up the span numbers to make sure that it's not,
Sure.
because in the past, there have been people put in this book that have paid, or the tax sale happened,
Sure.
okay?
Yeah, I'll
That's
get
all.
you that.
Quick question. Bill?
Yes.
I did mention this last year, and I talked to Dave Atherton about it, and most of you guys, selectmen. We do not have 461,000 that we, the town, owes in reimbursement to the Killington Road Route 4 sewer that was improperly waived and I brought this up to you guys, we are on the hook for that. So that number, 461,000 from the heights that was waived.
Not the heights.
Legally.
Not the heights.
This-
It's not the heights.
Rip out.
What, you know what I'm,
Yeah,
the property I'm talking about, you know, the one.
Well, if we're gonna say a name, we don't
The
wanna
one
say
that
the wrong name.
we publicly bought but sold under the table, 10 cents on the dollar.
Yeah,
That's the proper.
Andrew,
But,
hold on a
Bill,
second.
I talked to Dave,
That-
and
yeah.
we talked to the lawyers.
No, I'm
and
sure.
the lawyers looked into
Let-
it, and they did say that it was sold improperly.
Okay,
No, they
no,
don't.
no, Andrew, stop for a minute. The question is, we're talking about the budget. So are you suggesting,
To add 461,000 that are
well, are you
questionable
suggesting that you
back
think
to
the
budget.
town will get billed $461,000? Is that what you're suggesting? And that we need to look into that?
As I was told, we have two choices. Either let it go, sweep it under the rug and pretend it never happened, or I was advised to sue the town
Let's sue it.
and collect the 460 plus legal fees.
Andrew.
And then put the money back into the account.
Andrew, the issue.
That where the money was supposed to go.
The issue is not, should you sue or not sue, that's not what we're talking about here. The question is, do you think that it's possible that we have an exposure that we're gonna get billed by the Rutland sewer for $400,000? Is that what you're trying to
We
point
owe
out?
nothing to the Rutland sewer. He doesn't know what he's talking
Well,
about.
no, I'm just trying to, I'm trying to keep it,
The Rutland
I'm
sewer.
trying to tighten the question,
Yeah,
Jim,
and we
please.
also eliminated 17 ERUs that used to bring, they were supposed to be bringing the fees. So right now, the 461 will just take care of that property, but it will open another can of worms with what we're not collecting.
So, Bill,
So
let me give you
it's
a
at the minimum of $461,000 that has to be added to the current budget shortfall.
So here's the,
I would say, Patrick, just look in if we owe them money, okay?
we don't know
Right.
Rutland anyway.
We don't owe money because this is, the board is the one that determines if the money is owed. Because
Can I give a quick?
Let me get with my understanding of it is the Alpine pipeline, that's what we're talking about, not fire district, we're talking about Alpine pipeline, was owed back money from the Rick Kev Properties, which is located over at the Heights. And when it went out to tax, it went to tax sale, no one bought it at the time, so the town acquired it on tax use debt, a deed, sorry. The town then
Held it for the year.
They held it for the year.
We paid $631,000 for it.
You didn't pay anything for it.
They took out some easement land that was needed, and then sold the rest of the land to
The group that owns it,
to the group
yeah.
that owns it
Yeah.
at like 100-something thousand.
172,000.
When it was taken in, not this board, but the select board is the authoritative body of the Alpine pipeline, so they forgave themselves the money owed instead of transferring in the owed money to the Alpine pipeline. And in doing so, they also removed the 17 ERUs.
Okay, so does the Alpine pipeline, how does Rutland get paid for this?
They don't know.
They don't. It's
So this is where I'm gonna
And
jump in.
then they
Bill.
also have
Okay.
fees and stuff, but that was not attached to this part.
So now I'm gonna jump in. This property has been up for a tax sale twice. It was put up for a tax sale probably before this last one, 7 or 8 years prior, okay? There is Part A and Part B to the sewer. Part A is the Rutland that you're talking about.
That's right.
Part B is the town
The town,
sewer.
okay, right,
Okay? Back when the sewer to Alpine was above, they owed more, Rick Kev owed more money to Alpine, Rutland, than what the total sewer amount, ERUs, equals. So Rutland said, we will pull, because you're not paying us, you don't owe us anything, okay? Because we pulled the ERUs, because at some point, if that's ever gonna get developed, then they banked those ERUs. Now, the town put it up for a tax sale the first time, no one bid on it.
Right.
7 years goes by, no one's still paying on the 17 ERUs. No one's paying the property taxes. We had a history of it not being bought. So the board, with the town manager, authorized that at the tax sale, if nobody bid on it, then the town would take it. So now the town owns a piece of property, okay?
But Jim, just stop for a minute, because I understand, I understand where you're going, and it's fine. The question is,
We don't owe anyone money.
that's the question. The question is there a liability that we are responsible for?
Only if the users of the Alpine pipeline came back and said it was improperly done.
Because users right now, like me and Peggy,
Okay, so that's
are
the
still
question.
paying the
That's the-
fees,
that's
and
the
you
question.
guys eliminated an extra money that were owed to the same budget, we're all chipping in, and we're not collecting anymore.
Yeah.
There's an argument, that so the argument that would come down to it is, was the pipeline made whole?
Is it, yeah, and did the
And-
town create an outstanding liability?
And that is a question that I don't think any of us could answer.
And the
Okay.
Alpine,
Or should
Yeah.
dare to answer.
and the
Okay.
But that is the
Alpine,
legal question.
the Alpine was not underneath the purview of the select board, okay? The town taxes were. It's just at the same time, just like Sherburne Fire District, if they're having, they attach on to when the town has one.
Right.
Okay? The select board, the town manager forgave the ERUs. The town manager pulled the 17 ERUs or 20 ERUs or whatever into, they're not lost, they're into a bank. And at the time, it was put that we're moving forward with a housing development. There was not enough ERUs at that point, okay? Then there's the distillery that's going for, and there have been some other places that have been buying
those
some
17 will be-
ERUs.
those 17 will be
So
sold.
17, just like when you were on the
They'll be
Sherburne
sold.
Fire District.
Yeah, they'll be sold.
And that's
Yeah.
what
Okay.
down in Rutland they did, say,
Right.
they'll be sold.
Right, they'll be sold.
So.
Part of this $461,000 that was waived, every selectman knows. The selectmen do not waive the taxes. It goes in the front of the Civil Board of Abatement. So the way the process was handled was fraud from the beginning.
yeah.
That
Yeah,
was
we're gonna
brought
do
up and we
stuff.
discussed this. Or let's say, okay, you don't like hearing fraud, but I believe it's fraud, but you
No,
guys.
no,
so-
Andrew, I'm
but-
not.
But the lawyers are gonna look into it and say, how was the property sold? Did we hire an independent appraiser? And the answer was no.
Andrew.
Did we ask our lister to appraise the property? No, it was not. And then selectmen had no right to waive this, and then later send it to the town manager who signed that.
Andrew,
So-
you've raised valid issues like this before, and you have every right to do that, so please, but what we're trying to understand is the town's liability for the 2026 budget. Okay, that's the issue that we're trying to focus on right now.
And that money has to be collected.
Okay, and we have to make sure that the town comes at least to a balanced budget, hopefully, okay, so that we don't carry $500,000 over again to the
And
following year's budget.
I'm bringing
Right.
this up because, guys, I would love to draw the line.
Right,
It's easier to rip a Band-Aid once instead of twice, because right now, this Band-Aid for the shortfall in the mountain time that's at 488,000. In reality, let's add other things, and it comes up at $1 million plus.
Well, that's what we're trying to
I
find.
believe it would be easier to rip it once and pay
that's what we're trying to find.
1.2 million.
We're trying to
and
find
start
all
fresh.
outstanding liabilities so that we get the number right, so
Yeah,
that we
but
know what we're
you're
aiming
just-
at.
You're really just allowing someone from the audience to dictate a conversation that at one
No,
point.
actually, I'm trying to stop him.
But at one point, I said, Patrick, while you were still a select board member and Dave was here, when they was pushing for a board of abatement, when it's not board of abatement, the town bought or took the property. The town took
Through
it.
tax deed.
Through a tax deed.
Yeah.
Okay? So there is no, the taxes were cleared by the town. Now, when the town, a year later,
I'd be careful.
goes to,
Just legally.
whatever, to go
saying-
sell the property, okay?
Yeah.
To sell the property, it's not going through Board of Abatement. Just like now, the town has bought a piece of land called the other
I
thing.
think what the specific question was about the
He's gonna get
money
it.
owed to the.
Well, then talk to the town manager that cleared it or whatever.
And that
Okay.
was, my understanding was, as this body, Alpine Pipeline does not have its own board. The select board is the one that makes the decisions for them that needs to be made, that a board would make.
No, the select
And
board.
we have
is-
144 ERUs.
You can say, no, this is what I've been told about it, and so the board's decision with the town manager was to pull back the ERUs and not take the money and put it in. That was the decision, that's what happened. It's done. If that is not to the liking of the members of the Alpine Pipeline, then they can push back on that, but as far
All I'm
as the town's
saying is
concerned,
that they could have showed up and they could have bid on the property. Go from there. The property was warned for a tax sale.
that's not what I'm saying, that's not the argument.
Just
my
stop.
only.
I gotta stop.
My only
I gotta just
concern
stop.
right now,
I don't think it's in the best interest of the town
Right.
to bring it up.
my only concern right now is as a green eye shaded account. Is there a liability there that we have to account for?
Only if a legal case was brought against the town. But
Okay.
that is a statement about anything
No.
brought against the town.
There's not known to be a liability.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Only if one was brought.
just wanna
through
make
a
sure.
legal action.
An
Okay.
order
It's
of
not
abatement
an
is not the
outstanding
process.
bill.
Okay, so there's,
Right.
so we don't have to,
There's not an outstanding
we don't have to
bill.
put a line item down there that says XYZ $1,000 right
Only-
now.
Only if it was.
But if we
brought-
get sued, as soon as,
then,
if we got
yes.
sued, we would have to put that down.
Well, we'd have to, if depending on.
But
the outcome.
it's a risk, yeah,
Yeah,
right,
it's a
depending on the
risk.
outcome.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep,
Because
it's a
I'm
risk.
interested in, are we gonna make the 2026 budget, okay?
With
And-
effort,
And, no, I
With
expect
effort.
effort. I
Yeah.
expect effort.
it is not going to be an
Okay.
easy thing to make.
Because if we can't make it with tax sales, and if we can't make it with increasing revenue, and if we
Right.
can't make it with expenses coming in below, guess what? In 6 weeks, we're gonna make really hard decisions.
Yep. Yeah.
What's in
Okay.
6 weeks?
Well, I'm looking at, we have 5 months to go. 6 weeks from now is 3.5 months to go. So for the last quarter of the year, if we don't think we're gonna be where we need to be, we're gonna have to take cuts in the last quarter of the year, Jim,
Okay.
okay?
I was asking what?
No, yeah,
We need time to have the cuts to
And
take
we-
effect.
right.
That's what you're saying.
That's what I'm saying, yeah. Because we can't make the cuts, with
Right.
2 weeks left to go in the year.
So can I progress with seeing what we would get for the firehouse on River Road?
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay, do we need
No.
do we need a motion on that? No. Okay, it's within your purview. Okay.
And then am I fine to reach out to Great Golf, not Great Golf, Green Mountain?
I would
To see
say-
if they are still interested? I know Jim said that they're
I
not.
would say-
I'll give you the person's name, and I'll
Yeah.
give you, and I thought I sent an email
Yeah.
a few weeks
I
ago
would
for
say-
Tom Grace.
I think so.
Yeah, and he called me again today asking.
Okay.
So he would like to buy the piece of property in between
And
the
then
old
there's
O'Neill's
another-
property and,
You're talking firehouse.
no.
Oh, no, you're talking.
Tom Grace would like to buy
Old
the
Route 4.
lot on Old Route 4 between the old Neil's
So-
house and then the property that has that house on it before.
It's where Roger
Yeah.
Jr. had his house probably, you're
So
talking
let
about.
me make
No,
a
it's
broader,
Sanford.
Oh,
Yeah.
let me make a
Sanford's
broader
place.
Oh,
statement
Sanford's,
then.
okay.
Yeah. So that house that sits there before Gordy's old
Yeah,
road going
that's,
up. So he would like to
John
buy a
Risk-
piece of
John
land in
Risk
between
owns
there.
that.
Yeah, John Risk.
Okay,
Yeah.
so let me make a broader statement. Are you guys okay with me pursuing any potential sales of land? Obviously, it can't go through without the board.
Right.
Yeah.
But at least initiating
the-
talks.
I would
Bring
rather-
us, bring us alternatives.
I would
yeah.
just like to say the RR Fire Building, and there's not an old Route 4 house, it's,
These are notes to self.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's just part of the 70 acres.
Yeah,
Right.
no, when I said Old Route 4 house, I was thinking,
Yeah,
you
okay.
know,
Yeah, but it's in between.
It's in
the
between,
old and
it's
that,
not.
and the O'Neill,
Yeah.
and the Neil's one.
I would say as part of the ongoing budget review, bring us a proposal and we'll,
Yep.
we'll consider it. It totally depends upon where we are. Because as I said, we are not
Right.
gonna come in with another big budget deficit year.
Nope. We're getting ahead of it.
We're gonna fight it.
Yep, and again, some of these will change as we get to PD8, PD9, all that, we'll update the numbers, we'll hone it in, but right now I'm telling you guys that we have work to do, but it is not grid necessarily, we have things that can pull us out. Any questions on it currently?
No.
All right.
Okay.
I think there are maybe some on Zoom.
And I would say plan on the March 9th meeting to give us an update on where we are.
Oh, Paul, I didn't share my screen, I'm
Fiscal
sorry.
year 8.
I'll share it quickly. My apologies. This is what I was showing. Here's the expenses, the budgeted actual, here's the variance percentages, estimate year end. And if we look at operation only, because it's front loaded due to capital and bond payment. So right now, we're operationally at about 54 as of the end of January. That's good. We ought to expect around 58. And so it's looking at, we're estimated to be at 4.8 million out of a 5.2. If you pull the whole thing, it is closer. This is, sorry, just a recap for Polly there. If you look at the gross burn, we're off by about 401. And the issue arises in the revenue side. There's very unlikely that we hit 100% on our taxes collected. So there's going to be about 275,000 potentially there. Typically, on the average year, you make that up through deficit from the year before, so it's a wash. But we haven't had that.
You have the whole number of delinquent taxes in there, so if
Oh,
you're doing
yeah,
Polly, you need to take that number out.
Sorry, let me take this one out for you, Polly.
Okay.
So if we didn't do anything, my estimate was we would run a revenue deficit of 751,000 for total offset of a shortfall of 350,000. If we collect delinquent taxes and get all of it, which again is
Probably
unrealistic, then it pulls us out to the positive side. Even if we collected, even if we were to collect 80%, it would still pull us out. So that's a good thing. And then we're also looking at selling off some assets, potentially to interested buyers in near Old Route 4, the firehouse down on River Road, and Green Mountain Power had an interest a few years back on Piece of Lane. We're going to reapproach them to see if they're interested. Hearing they're likely not. I don't have dollar amounts for these, but we're trying to very much buffer ourselves so in case there is more expenditures or that,
Or shortfalls.
Unaccounted for. Like if we end up shorting the 1% sales tax, then we want to have that buffer. And right now we're playing it real close. And so I would prefer to get on the positive side a little bit more. Sorry for not sharing the screen the first
Green Mountain
time.
Power was looking at the time for about $350,000 for the land down there on Route 4, and Dave Atherton turned it away.
Yep.
The piece of land between the Neal house and the other property that you're talking about, they paid like $340,000 for whatever the acreage was. I think it's like 6 acres or something there that they've already bought, so it kind of gives you an idea of what they were paying per acre.
The only thing there, we have to make sure it wouldn't interfere with the secondary plan for the village coming out.
The land down there is not interfering with the housing project.
Okay. Cool.
So it's not interfering with the housing thing.
Good. So
But I
that's
do think I gave you the email.
So Paul, the main takeaway is we've identified that there is a potential big issue, but we have enough time to make sure we don't hit it. Or that's the plan at least.
Positively.
Thanks for the recap, Patrick.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay. And so we'll have a next updated, this level, March 9th.
If you want to
The
do
first select board
March
meeting.
9th, if you want, then have February.
Yeah, at the end of February, yeah. You
March
should do this
9th.
at the first select board meeting of every month,
Yep.
okay? Because we need to bring this budget in.
Yeah, absolutely we do. There's some big, and sorry, Polly, what I was saying before was the main causes of it is 210,000 out of other income. because of the counting money that wasn't revenue as revenue. And then the other one is the unexpended project fund, which was carried as a negative expense, which again was just put in there to balance the budget. That's what I could tell. That was my assessment of it. I cannot figure out any other purpose. And if you need this, I can make it available to anyone. I think that is all I have for
Is
my
that all you have
manager's
for town
report.
manager?
Yeah.
Thank you, Peter. Additional citizens' concerns.
Just have
Lucretia.
One question, I don't want it to be lengthy, but I did notice that there are 2 articles that are exactly the same. And I have 2 questions. One, did you consult with the attorney if it's valid or to have 2 basically conflicting articles, and what's going to happen if they both pass?
So from VLTC training material, you can have 2. It is not best practice. Generally, the idea is you go with the one that is more complete. But the decision was made by this board to include both of them as one was brought by the public and they felt deserved representation alongside the other one. If they both pass, then you go with you have a...
The money's authorized.
The money's authorized, that one's
authorized.
binding. My understanding is the one without the money is technically an advisory one, so it's non-binding. But it is also not good practice for a select board to have an article passed that's non-binding and not act on it.
But it's also not good for a select board to reject a legal
From a citizen.
article petition.
It wouldn't be rejecting it, it's you have 2 of the same and you take the one that's more complete.
So I understand that the select board made the decision to put that article on because of the discussion came forth that this petition was going to go around. So you proactively decided, let's put it on the ballot, but let's put a cap.
Yes.
It was very proactive, and that was fine. So the petition comes in because they didn't trust that you were going to put it on the ballot, from what I heard, which is unfortunate. But you did not have to put that, and I understand that you're not
Correct.
disrespecting, regardless, if they're both on, I was just curious as to what was going to happen if they both got approved.
If they both got approved, one is binding, one is not, again, it'll be
Then it's
decision of the select board.
$200,000.
It's a cap of $200,000.
And if it's at $300,000, you're gonna have to go back.
Well, they have to, readjust.
Yep.
T's and C's.
Right, yeah, either change the...
You gotta
really
change
don't
the
know.
scope, yeah.
Yep.
And if it's $30,000 to get to the first part, then it's $30,000.
$30,000.
It's $100,000.
Right.
Yeah.
It's whatever.
Last one. So, guys, I looked at the ballot from 2 years ago. Article number 5 says, shall the town authorize the select board to perform a study on the impacts of leaving the Mountain View Supervisory Union? And 349 people said yes. So 2 years later, it's still quiet. So kind of it's the same thing, like voters said yes, and the board's done nothing. And I believe it's wrong. I believe the voters need to know, or actually, like, good thing we have Polly here, she can probably follow up and write an article, how come it was approved 2 years ago and nothing was done? I believe people need to know.
It's a great question for the town manager.
I can make
I don't think he's here.
Right.
And I don't, no, but I mean.
Yeah, right. That town manager.
Yeah, I cannot make...
Or a chair of the select board that was in charge for a year and a half, that should have...
No, that's not the job of a select board chair. But I think that might have been Steve at that time. Just so you know, so he's not here either.
Anyway, I will look to see if there's anything made progress with that.
I can tell you that the board afterwards, with the state of Vermont making all these changes, is seeing where and waiting. They said, let's wait for the maps to be changed before us going in and doing stuff.
And
So I think,
with that, there was also the process in doing so, the supervisory union would have to let us out.
Right, but I also think, like you talked about the last one, saying that there's no dollar amount to it or whatever, so it's just, what kind of petition?
Advisory.
Advisory? and it was an advisory to look into or whatever, and then I think some town managers said, wait to see what the state is doing, and we're done. And hopefully the state changes things that makes changes. But, I mean, that's all.
Any select board, any other citizens' concerns from people who are online? Okay. Select board concerns. Gentlemen, do you have any concerns?
So, I just like to say that I'm not running for select board, but keep on coming at me, make it easy for it. But as far as this forensic audit, I mean, it's really clear that everything was going along great in the town, the TIF and everything, we're going forward. I'd like to start to get to know, like, where are we at with the TIF? I'd like to know, like, we talk about votes, and in 2020, last year, I think Article number 4, maybe it's not in this book, but, the other thing, we don't have the last 2 years worth of books on the town website, okay? So, but, no, we don't. It stops at like 23.
Probably right. I saw 2023, not 2024.
Yeah.
I think he's correct.
I'll make sure that the other ones.
So,
because I did the search today, and 2023 came up.
So I've been hearing a lot, like, funding for the TIF district and the not TIF district, and maybe money being used someplace from somewhere. It has nothing to do with the board. We don't put the money around. But March 4th of 2025, Article number 4, because there was a $47 million in 2023. Article 4, shall the bonds of the town of Killington in an amount not to exceed $11,200,000, subject to reduction through the receipt of any other sources of funding, be issued for the purpose of the planning, design, acquisitions, construction, installation, and equipping of a water system improvements for the town of Killington. I'd like to know where that bond approval, I don't think the manager after this even applied for it, and maybe didn't even know about it. But it's here, the vote is approved for a bond, and I know we're getting stuff saying like some money was allocated here, or there. I think some of this 11.2 million would have solved some of that, because one of the conversations you had said was like the Killington Forward or whatever. So like the water line down below from Anthony Way down to Route 4 is not in the TIF district, okay?
Right.
Okay, but how was it spent? I think it was supposed to be part of this bond. From above the lookout down to Ravine Road, the water line is not in the TIF district.
Right.
Some of this was supposed to be used for this here, okay? Also, if you go through the documents, but I don't think a lot of people actually read the full agreement and everything, but some of that first bond money was actually supposed to be used towards the town. So there was $6 million of grant money that we had first. If you go to the town website, you'll see the first $6 million. All right. It was supposed to be used for these sections, and I'm thinking where you guys, or county is getting messed up, is moving money around. Like you had said, town managers would move money around, I think, last week, and this one would say move it here, this one would say move it here. It's not the board moving stuff around.
No.
Right, no.
So there was a vote last year.
To get bonds.
To get bonds.
Right.
You know, I just feel like we've kind of got off to
We've lost half a year.
prove previous boards did things wrong or whatever, okay, take it that way. But yet, there's 11.2 million.
We need to focus on the future.
We need to focus on the future. Right, there's a lot of stuff going there, okay? You know, we've got stuff with.
In town, we are focusing, in the town office, we're focusing on the future, not the past.
But I mean,
That
you
kind
know,
of
like,
brings up here.
we sit here and I don't know, 2 meetings ago or 3 meetings ago, Patrick, where I had said, you said something about this subject and saying like, things are getting Killington forward, this and that, and some of the money for the Killington Road that they're going on now with the raise grant or whatever, that's not in the TIF or whatever, and I said it was in the TIF, and you and I were going back and forth at it.
It's in phase 5.
And then you said, you have a specialist, and you mentioned the person's name, and I said the person was wrong, but now like I read the Mountain Times, and, thank you for putting in that the road project from the Lookout down to Anthony Way is in the TIF district. It's in the TIF district, but just.
Properties, it's part of the TIF district as long as the phase 5
Well,
goes through.
it was just the same as the water line, so we're missing.
Water line's not.
The water line is in the TIF district from behind the Mountain Times up, and there's none of those properties in there for the increment.
Right, support.
So where I'm coming to is that it's just been like accusing of everything, and like I'll ask, and he's not going to answer, like what are the lies and what is the dishonesty, and I'm not going to talk to you about it or whatever. But when someone comes out and says lies and dishonesty, there should be something that you should be able to say. I mean, not just sit there.
What are you asking for here?
No, I'm just getting on, like, we need to move forward.
Yeah.
And part of this issue is that, and this is my selectmen's concerns, okay, so I can go on. But part of the issue here is that, everything was going great until Michael Ramsey brought to the board that there was mistakes from the staff on accounting for sick and vacation time. And then all the staff showed up. No, all the staff showed up. No, just.
Are you talking about TIF or?
No, I'm going all over the place.
Yeah,
I'm all over the place.
What would you like me to look at?
So I'm going to save you like with this whole forensic audit, okay? So I'm going to say lies and dishonesty, okay? So.
Let's remember, we're trying to move forward here.
Yeah, we are trying to move forward, to get past. Right. So when we start doing the forensic audit, I think maybe you should start looking into, take my timesheets, take Ricky's timesheets, take your timesheets, take your wife's timesheets, take Lucretia's timesheets. Do a compliance audit on this. Because for someone that says they never got paid overtime, I don't know, like Jay Hickory, 3/26/24, 21 hours at the transfer station, So here you go. That's lies and dishonesty.
So what do you want me to look up related to TIF?
I want you to look up, where's the 11.2? I want you to look up,
Has a bond been put out on that?
I want you to look at where the money was spent from the first bunch of bonds that came, the grants that came in, that they were allocated to the rights, which would take it away from some of your shortfall, if that's part of your shortfall.
That would be good. If it
Okay?
did. That would be good.
And then I really, no matter what, when this stuff blows over and nobody approves any forensic audit, as a select board member, I would like us to start looking at, like I said, my timesheets, my hours, your hours going back, Lucretia's, Mona's, get it all out there.
If the select
If we're
board wants
going
to do
to
that,
be-
we can, but I would recommend that's not the best use of moving forward. So. if
So the
select board
best
wants
use
that-
was to sit there and accuse a family of doing multiple things that they did not do, period. Thank you.
So TIF update. We would do that.
Yeah, TIF update.
I also like.
One of the things that I think we're conflicted on, Jim, and I understand the situation that's been created, and it's unfortunate.
No, it's not unfortunate.
No,
It's sad.
it's sad.
It's sad.
It's sad. But the big problem that the town has is we were $375,000 in the red, okay, 3 years ago. We were $500,000 in the red last year. Where
could be $500,000 in the red this year if we're not careful. And we gotta start, and, no, and we are not going to be. But we gotta pay attention to that stuff, because that's what the taxpayers have us here to do.
Yep.
Okay? We have to get to that, okay? And we have to, I mean, it's the sad stuff that occurs, and I don't want to minimize that, because it's, I get it.
but we also gotta spend time on getting to this other stuff.
So you
Okay.
get to the other stuff. You guys sit here as a board, and you listen to a town manager that when someone from says $204,000 of solar panels, and this is talking about a past debt, okay, so I'm on track here. $204,000 for solar panels that were never approved, okay? And then I gotta listen to a treasurer or an ex-treasurer say, you can't use reserve and restricted funds unless it's voted for. But then I have to sit here and listen to Dave tell us, or tell George, it was taken from this reserve fund and this reserve fund and this reserve fund. It was never voted on. So town managers were doing things, okay, and they shouldn't have been doing things.
And now we have, now we
Okay.
have a town manager who is stuck with an archaeological dig through all of the financial records to try to figure out what the hell was going on.
So what funds really was the 204,000 unauthorized by the board and the town taken from?
Are you talking the solar panel stuff?
Yeah.
I cannot tell you off the top of my head because I've not been focusing on that. I've been focused on the current year and the future year. If you want me to go back and spend time off.
Well, Dave said he did it. Dave said he did it. He said.
I don't, not Dave, I don't have it.
Okay, then the 488,000 or the 300 whatever for the bond that was approved, that he
FEMA
forgot,
bond.
the FEMA bond.
Yeah.
Okay, that was blamed on somebody that didn't have anything
tell
to
you
do
about
with
that,
it.
'cause I do know about
You know,
that.
didn't do anything. It was on Dave, okay? And then on top of it,
We don't need to put blame on anybody with that because I agree.
well, no, because it was put blame
What
on
happened- I can tell
somebody.
you what's happened with that was, there was refinancing of that loan that was in the process that did not get established prior to the bond being paid, coming due. And the bond came due, and it was paid, and then when the paper came ready for it being refinanced, there was nothing to refinance.
That's not
Because the
true.
bond-
Whoever's telling you that is wrong.
I
That
talked
is
to our
wrong.
bond counsel.
Yeah,
That was our bond
Well,
counsel.
no.
Okay.
Okay? The bond paperwork was all done, and the banker was coming in saying, you just have to tell me
Okay.
when you're having the meeting.
From-
It was before whatever. The bond council we had the, you, I, and Ricky
At the end
had
of
the
the,
thing
at
in
the end
front
of the
us.
day, Jim, okay, this, mistakes were made, and
Mistakes were
God
made.
knows, there's plenty of mistakes to go around, okay? And there was no one, I don't even want to think about forensic. I want to think about how we dig the town out of this hole, okay? And that's what we have to focus on, okay? We gotta move forward, and we have to say, hey,
We have a known.
we have a
deficit.
number that we gotta deal with, okay? And we have to figure out how we get out of
You
this.
have known deficits from after it leaves the board of the way it's accounted for.
Yeah, we
Yeah, we do.
That the board, when you were
Yes.
on it, was not responsible for what line item it was put into. But
Right.
yet,
But now we gotta
But now
figure
we
it
gotta
out.
fix it.
Now we gotta fix it. We
Right.
have to fix it.
after a group
Yeah.
attacked a family.
We-
That's the disgusting and the sad part.
I think
okay?
we've all been attacked, though.
Yeah,
mean,
I
in
have that
fairness.
feeling.
I mean, if we want to.
I have that
If we
feeling.
want to have a conversation
have.
about that,
You
I can
have.
certainly argue on my
I don't
case.
know.
I-
Jake
I-
can.
I-
And
I've
so, I
sat
mean,
here-
We've all been attacked.
I've sat here and gotten attacked, okay, about warning people that there was a budget problem.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean,
You did identify
I went through the whole thing, and
these
almost
things.
everything is coming true.
Listen,
Okay?
you got one letter or a text.
Oh, I'm not
No,
talking
no,
about
No,
that.
Jim,
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about when I work for the town.
Jim.
Never attacked you. I never attacked you. I was stuck up for you.
No one ever said you did. No,
You know?
Guys, I'd like to comment.
No, this is selectmen concern.
This-
This is selectmen
this is
concern.
not-
Citizens,
it's a concern.
citizens input is finished.
Yeah.
This is selectmen.
There is a rumor going on.
So, you know,
No, please,
You know,
no rumors.
bring it up at the
No,
next
the
citizens
fact-
input.
The fact
There's a
is,
rumor.
the fact is,
Board meeting.
excuse me,
I'll ask it.
the fact is, we're dealing with a town that hasn't been funded properly.
No. It's been
Okay.
funded properly, but there has been missteps.
Excuse me, when I look at the budget deficits this town has been running and carrying over from year to year, there's problems, Jim.
Especially
We
when you have a group of people that buy things that were never budgeted for.
Excuse me, that group of people isn't here now.
Yep.
Okay, and we have to clean up that mess.
Yeah, good.
Okay? And we, as a group, that is our responsibility to clean that mess up. Okay? And we're gonna do it, because we have to. The voters expect us to.
So I'd like to know where the $204,000, what funds it came out of, because it pulled money out of funds, which is affecting some of our budgets,
Do you know what
either
year
now,
that was?
whatever. They just did it this year, because it was in the audit for the year before. If you look at the audit for 2024, the real audit, the whole thing, it will still show it.
Okay, what
So
do you
that will
think
be
to that?
showing up into the 2026.
If you're just asking for where it can be blamed, I don't think it's.
No, where was it used?
It's used
What
by
used
solar.
was? What was it used from? Which
What-
reserve
what
funds,
account- what
for some,
account-
so when you say
what account-
reserve
what account did it
funds,
come from?
reserve funds are low, so there's some negative reserve funds, right? Well, where did the solar panels come out from March of 2025 to now? What funds? Because we were told by a manager from March to December, or whatever, whenever he passed away, okay, that he used X funds. So now that's the
No,
budget.
He was referring to check.
No, because the audit showed all the ways up until,
I'll look into it.
yeah.
I'll look into it.
You know, this has been brought up. So, once again, if you want to fix going forward, the policy compliance needs to make sure that it was followed, and going forward is going to be followed.
We have a lot of work to do.
Right now, we have some
I
conflicting stuff,
agree
and I
with-
do want to start
We have a
bringing
lot of work to
chunks
do.
of the policy.
Yeah.
And I believe one of the first ones we should tackle is leave and attendance stuff. So if you'd like, I can bring that for next time.
What?
Start doing chunks of the personnel policy.
I would wait till after the election, because we also.
Oh, that's right.
We'll
We have a
also,
new
we'll also
person.
we'll have a new select board, and also, assuming that the budget gets passed, we'll have issues of employee health care and stuff like that we're gonna have to rewrite in that policy anyways.
Right. 'cause
So,
we have-
so I would suggest we wait a couple,
Well,
we
in
wait a couple
tonight's
weeks before we do
Selectmen's
that.
concerns, there is Killington Employee Manual,
Yeah, I have
Section
this one.
9, political activity, and, okay.
Okay, so on these two concerns, okay, it was brought up in the citizens' input, okay, that, about political activity, okay, by employees, and, you know, someone was making comments about that. Okay, so I just wanted to pull what the employee handbook says, okay, so that everybody knows, and I expect all employees of town to follow it, okay, as we're in this election cycle. Okay, so basically, I just wanted to read it in, and basically said, political activity. No employee may use his or her official authority for the purpose of interfering with or affecting the nomination or election of any candidate for public office, or demand or solicit from any individual direct or indirect participation in any political party, political organization, or support of any political candidate. Employees are prohibited from using town facilities, equipment, or resources for political purposes and for pursuing political activities while working. The personnel policy is not to be construed to prevent employees from becoming or continuing to be members of any political party or organization, from attending political party or organizational meetings or events, or from expressing their views on political matters, so long as these views are clearly articulated as being those of the individual and not of the town, and these activities do not interfere with the individual's ability to effectively perform his or her duties and take place or are expressed during non-working hours, nor is this personnel policy to be construed as prohibiting or restraining the employee. Okay, so basically,
Don't say the town.
employees should know that they should not participate in political activities, okay, while they're working for the town. That's pretty straightforward. Everybody should know that. Please follow that.
Well, when
okay?
you're saying working for the town during working hours.
During working hours, during
Correct.
working hours, right.
Yeah.
Okay. But the second thing, and this is where it gets a little tricky, because we do have situations where employees are on boards. Okay? We have that here at the select board. We have two.
Well, select boards are exempt from the policy.
But we have.
Oh, it is.
We have
But we have two employees.
We have two employees, okay? We have two employees who are on the board. We have other boards in town that have employees, okay? And so it creates an interesting problem. And I did a lot of research with VCLT on this. I looked at VSA. There really is no public rules, okay, on how dual function people, okay, should conduct themselves on these things. There are fairly explicit concerns about trying to make sure, okay, that you don't have conversations which would be outright conflicts of interest. Okay, so but you guys are understanding the conflict of interest. The only guide that we have as a town, and it's the only guide that the legislature gives to people, is that if a town writes a policy, okay, that becomes the guide. Okay, and the only thing that's close to a guide of that is Section 5, okay, in the policies of the town employee manual, which is conduct of employees. And basically, this is what it says. It says, all employees are considered representative of the town, and as such are expected to conduct themselves in a courteous, helpful, and respectful manner in all their interactions with the public, other employees, and elected and appointed officials. All employees are expected to faithfully execute the duties and responsibilities of their office to the best of their ability and in compliance with the provisions of this personnel policy. And so basically what that says, for dual employees, okay, the key words that I read out of this is they're supposed to be courteous, helpful, and respectful. Okay, and what that says to me, that if you're working one job and somebody comes up to you and says, hey, I heard this, okay, just to be helpful and respectful, because you are a dual function employee in the town, you are allowed to talk to them, okay? You are not allowed, okay, to make it political. So if somebody says, what happened at this meeting? Well, you know what? What happened at the meeting is a matter of public record. You can talk about that. Okay, there's nothing wrong with people talking about that. That's a matter of public record. If somebody comes up to you and says, hey, we really need to do this, okay, you can't say, I'll get the board to look at that, because you don't have the authority to do that.
Well, not the board.
You can personally say, I will bring it up to the board in a selectman's concern thing, but you can't say, we'll get the board to look at it, because you don't have the authority of the board. You only have the authority as an individual. So the bottom line is courteous, helpful, and respectful. If you have a dual job.
During your working hours.
What?
During
your working hour. No, if you have a dual job, okay, you still got to be courteous, helpful, and respectful. Okay? I think selectmen tend to work 24 hours a day.
Well, the select board is not into the policy.
No, but it's a dual function
During
employee.
working hours.
It's a dual function.
I don't understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
You're just saying during working hours.
An employee
is employed during working hours.
Doesn't have to be courteous after hours. If somebody comes up to them and starts ripping into them.
I wasn't sure where you were going with that.
Leave me the hell alone.
Yeah, I wasn't sure where you were going.
I'm not working now.
Right, yeah, I wasn't sure where you were going.
You don't want to hear me.
Yeah, I was more concerned about. The opposite. I was concerned about the opposite, which is what
I have been,
which
as
is
a
the
zoning
citizens'
administrator,
concern.
been approached
Yeah.
at a restaurant or whatever, and I go, leave me alone.
Yeah, I've been approached too, yeah, right, yeah.
I'm not working. During working hours.
The point of bringing this up was a citizen raised a concern about, was there a policy associated with this? And they were specifically concerned about the dual function person, okay? And the answer is the dual function person is supposed to be helpful. Okay, and the dual function person is supposed to respect someone when they ask a question, and if they can give them an answer, they're supposed to give them the answer.
Yeah.
Okay, and I just want to make sure we're all operating on that same page.
Bill, I want to be courteous,
Yes.
respectful, and
You don't have
friendly
to.
as a town citizen. We've talked a lot about moving forward.
Right.
And there's a lot of stuff that has gone on, and I'm going to just overly classify it as mismanagement. There's been a lot of mismanagement, a lot of finger pointing. I'm going to ask you guys to consider just 4 things to truly move forward. Maybe just take a note. First, what happened? What happened? Okay? on this particular issue you're talking about, and there's many of them. So what happened? Number two, why did it happen? Why? Okay? Number three, what could have been done to prevent it from happening? And four, what will we do now to ensure it never happens again? If we as a town can live to those 4 words or phrases, I truly believe we're gonna move forward. And we're gonna eliminate a lot of the Mickey Mouse, the mishmash that we've got. But until we're prepared to address it, and I do think that's what Jim was saying to some extent, that's why I think he wants to know about the solar panels. What happened? How did it happen? Why did it happen? How could it have been prevented? Where's the checks and
It was done in
balances?
this current year, or it was done in.
No, it wasn't done in this current.
No, it was. It was taken out of. a
Regardless, I'm
fund.
just using that because that
I
was
don't
an
think-
example tonight.
I could be wrong.
You are.
Okay, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Okay,
That's all.
no, your,
I wrote those down because those seem very
your
applicable to my
comment, your comments are
position.
very important. We have to basically change the way the town operates.
Yes.
And all of those are important, how to change the way the town operates. Okay? Yes?
Good items on those points that he just raised, okay, but, okay, it's not going to happen until you stabilize the administration, okay? You cannot have, okay, X amount of town managers, okay, X amount of these people, those people coming in, going out for one reason or another. Okay, the town needs to stabilize its administration.
Focus
And
on
only
running.
then can you move forward along with those items.
I mean, I will,
You can't do it.
yeah, I mean,
It's not our
my,
job, it's his job.
my personal opinion, okay, and this is my personal opinion, and I'm allowed citizens input as well, okay?
Well,
I've
it's the selectmen's concerns.
been on the, our selectmen's concern, having been on the board for
Whatever.
6 months now, okay, I believe the big problems are that there's been so many different managers giving contrary directions to people, okay, that we have good people who don't necessarily know what the good thing is to do, okay, because they've had different instructions from different people. So, yeah, and that's what you're talking about, Ken. We need consistency in how we're operating our town.
And why have we had such a change?
What, well, we
That
can,
is one of.
that's
those
the
items.
This is
question.
selectmen's
Get
concern.
to it and find out.
No, that's okay. That's the question, okay, that's allowed. But I think the first thing we gotta do now, Ken, is we understand we have a problem, okay? And we're gonna get sunk, okay, if we lose the 2026 budget.
Yeah.
Okay, we are gonna get deservedly crucified,
That
okay, if we lose the
delinquent tax is a
2026
fair
budget.
amount, okay, of this budget,
Yeah,
okay? That rough amount is in this, okay, 23-24 report
right.
that I brought up several months ago.
Mhm.
So, okay, the action steps, okay, need to be taken in order to collect this.
Yeah, and that's what we gotta do.
I'm gonna get his money.
That's exactly what we have to do.
And my opinion is that town managers don't last here because they can't stick up for what the policies are in the town, and when it's brought up, it's pushed over by the staff. That's my opinion.
Town managers are hired by the select board, and they're released by the select board.
And some of them quit because of staff. But once again, this is.
Because
this
of
is
you.
some of them
Because
brought in.
of
This is
you. Some of them are brought in unsolicited. How did Ramsey get in here?
Yeah.
How did the interim, okay, manager come in?
No, okay, all right.
Hey, Jim,
Select-
where did you celebrate your wife's, no, your daughter's wedding?
Come on, let's
You
start.
know?
Oh, I had a daughter's party at Moses Farm.
Yeah, conveniently. Zoning administrator, selectman,
I paid for it.
and finance director, and there's no conflict of interest.
Okay.
Using FEMA money, federal money.
Yeah.
Federal money.
Oh, my God.
You gave
Point of
millions of
order.
dollars,
Point
and
of
then
order.
conveniently,
To who?
Point of order,
To who?
point of order.
the East Mountain job, FEMA money. not
Point
spent.
of order! I have a motion on the floor to adjourn the meeting so you guys can argue later.
Rock on.
Okay? Do we have a second for the motion to adjourn the meeting? All in favor?
Aye.